Hello, and welcome to the humanity where we do the things with the stuff for the people. I am Matt. Tommy he's doing a family thing with sports. So I'm here by myself. You get to see a lot more of the room. Um, it's just like before, but bigger. Um, hey, I don't know what I'm doing tonight. I'm just going to talk, and Tommy might jump on later. Um, so yes. What am I drinking tonight? I already threw it in the trash can. Damn it. Okay. West Side Brewing, Gil, Gil. It's a German Irish lager. Um, it is a kind of like a red lager, like a red ale, Irish red, but it tastes like a pretzel. That's the German part. It's very good. I only have one of those. Hey, so life's been up to some strange things, huh? Um, Man, I've been fucking around with some people on Facebook. Um, that's been a lot of fun. Uh, yeah, it's also sad because I've been talking to a lot of like conservative types, MAGAs, and y- you can't have a factual discussion with them because they're all talking points and concepts and feelings, even though they think feeling decisions are stupid. So we're all very different now. One, we live in the country. That's the bad guys now. That's very different. Um, but people have in a lot of different ways. Mainly just there's it's all like binary things. Um, what's happening with politics? People are like it's just like the left and right are just getting like super powered, and there is less of an in betweeny, like a gradation. It's just like boom, one or the other. Um, and we're seeing reality very different, and I don't think we realize where we're putting our own narratives on the facts, and we're and I realized I was doing this too, um, confusing our narrative of the facts as part of the facts, like who are the good guys and who are the bad guys, things like that. Those aren't facts. That's a perspective. Um, and most of them were that I was talking to were unable to have a conversation about um, things more based in measurable facts. You know what I mean? Like by measurable, I mean like it's not just a concept that people have just decided is true and is shared in that way. I mean, like it's a physical, tangible thing that you can. Did I just say physical? Shit, I'm a little high too. That may have happened. Um, you know what I mean? Real life stuff instead of in your head stuff. So I've been thinking about how do you talk to people like that? Like how do you talk about reality with someone that has a very different narrative about reality? Like who are the good guys and who are the bad guys and what's good and what's bad? Uh, how do you how do you get at just the facts? And I swear it's like people have been programmed that like they can't hear that. If you want to have a conversation, like you bring facts to the table, and then and they respond with a talking point about like why that's wrong. Um, but that like being able to prove it's wrong, like that whole it's like that part of their brain got lobotomized through propaganda, or it's like that chunk that like wonders whether something is true or not. Somehow it just got like overridden. Now, as long as it has the right imagery or the right buzzwords in its description of it, now that's true, and it's just like you just like latch onto it. I think the solution is we just be excellent to each other. Bill and Ted reference. I think everything's so broken as far as like just the like polarized narratives we have, and like you can't we can't try to tackle like reconciling big things with the other side. I just got a text from Tommy in my ear. All right. Howdy, viewers. What the fuck was I talking about? Tommy derailed my thoughts. What's he doing? That's my job. I'm supposed to derail his thoughts. Sorry. Touch of the tism and the ADHD. We'll be back on track in a minute. Oh, we can't tackle big things with people. We could be wrong too. Like my side, our side. If you're on my side, we can't tackle big things when we can't even like agree on like what is happening in reality. We gotta dial it back to like even more basic stuff, like just how we treat each other. I think we have to build from there. And as long as we are othering people, I think the conflict continues. So we have to, I think, see beyond the narratives in each other. And get at like just like the heart of oh, Tommy is listening now. Damn it. The stress. Yep, gotta start simple, do it simple. It sounds lame, sounds hippie, sounds like a cop out. Like I'm giving up, but feeling good about it. No, that's where we go. I had this whole thing with ChatGPT where I was trying to figure out what is the what's the greatest commandment? Like what's the thing that the single thing that makes it possible for humanity to thrive and for the planet to thrive, and or other beings, or like what is just what's the one greatest rule that makes everything work better no matter who you are, what you are. And it was basically like a secular version of the greatest commandment in the New Testament. And it was what's it? Treat others as yourself. There's got sucked into a black hole in my own head. And I got distracted by the zooming. Motherfucker. Is Tommy texting me on my phone again, or is that just a... All right, I'm going to turn off my ringer because that was just a repeat of the thing. Should already be off. What am I doing? Yes, secular greatest commandment. Um, Basically, do the greatest good on the most scales possible. So, do the greatest good with yourself, people around you, um, and understand each one of those actions impacts the levels above that in the narrative or in meaning. Um, yeah, it's a chain reaction, kind of happening simultaneously. Um, in the different levels. Probably not making any sense. I've been trying to figure out how to make sense of these things I have in my head that make sense to me, but then when I try to say them out loud, my words just go sideways. Uh, hey, that was the end of that thought trail. Um, at the same time, a lot of things are really fucked up, and we're gonna have to just ride this roller coaster as it goes where it goes. Um, and there's not a whole lot we can do to shape things. Like protesting, sure, that does something. Takes a while for it to really make an impact. Um, and in order for the administration to do anything like martial law on a larger scale, there has to be a threat for them to declare martial law against. So they kind of need protests to get bigger. Uh, Also, at the same time, doing that causes the administration to reveal more of what it actually is to more people who are might be reluctant to see that, like MAGA. Because I mean, if we just like rolled over and we didn't protest or we didn't pester politicians just enormously, um, then all of this would happen. It all would happen faster. So it's kind of like, okay, do we want the version that it is now, or do we want the version that like is going to be martial law and uh like citizen soldiers in the street and shit? um do we want or that version? Like, which one do we want? Do we want to go quietly, or do we want the one where like um things get a lot worse and maybe they stay a lot worse, or maybe they get much better and we can flip the tables and all that stuff? um We're taking a gamble that we can pull this off. Looks like we can. But man, I don't like these options. Hey, something just occurred to me when I was smoking outside a second, no, not a second ago, longer than seconds. Um, you know how Musk is doing like all kinds of crazy stuff with all the things? Um, this is what would happen if you took your AI, like you took your Grok, and you took Grok to Washington and you feed Grok as much data as you can about all the things that you can do quickly, right? And then Grok starts making decisions about like how many people need to be employed in certain agencies, given what the available data was about what they do, all the details of what they do. You feed that into Grok, and Grok says, "Nah, they have too many people. You need this many people for this shit." Um, right? And so they do that, and then all hell breaks loose. But not really all hell. Certain things go wrong, right? And those things went wrong because Grok didn't have enough data. So now, once those things have gone wrong, and people are like, "Oh shit, all these terrible things are happening," and And then you feed new data into Grok. You tell Grok, well, when you did that shit, this other shit happened. We don't want that. We don't want either shit. No, we want the first shit. So we wanted, with the other shit we wanted to do, but we don't want any of this sideways shit at the same time. Grok was like, my bad. This is brand new information I have, and now, based on the goals of the administration that you fed into Grok, the Grok starts saying, okay, here's what we can do to let's try this. We give them back this much, and then like maybe publicly toss around the idea of not giving the other parts back and see what happens. And everything that happens, Grok is learning how to government, learning how to do all of the things, like how to make president decisions, because learning what is the best course of action to get the thing that you want. So that makes a lot of sense to me. And there was things said several times, like Mike Johnson and the vice president, like several people have made kind of offhand comments, but they were like in an interview, and things about like feeding things into the algorithm or something to that effect. And I was like, oh wait, no, I think Elon is teaching his AI how to government, but in a very specific way. Like he's basically having Grok role play as MAGA to make decisions. So that really sucks. And the thing is, anything we do is more data for Mega Grok. It's a terrible name, but that's probably what they call it. Anything that anybody does is more data for the AI to learn how to do whatever all over us. And is there anything we can do about that? Is that inevitable? Is that what the AI race is partly about? Like there's some good guy companies that are like, yeah, moving ahead recklessly, but like because they're in a race to get to the super smarty smart AI before everyone else. And that's kind of why maybe we hear them talk in these like messianic terms about like the possibility that AI or their AI could do for the world. And I'll bet a lot of them, maybe they all do, think their AI is the good AI and they have to get there first before the bad guy AI groups, which is like everybody else, get there. Yeah, so maybe there's also like a little pocket dimension existential struggle going on at the same time as like the regular political one. It's like, what is it? It's like a revolutionary turducken. Like you got like layers of revolutionary things happening at the same time, heading towards some kind of conflict. That's the kind of stuff I think about. So, what if all that's true? What does that mean for us? Not a whole lot we can do. I mean, yeah, sure, still do the things you want to do. Like you want to protest or you want to like do a sit-in in a Tesla dealership. Like do that. Like do what you want to do because we're all going to play our role in this how the story unfolds. But also to understand that like there's probably a way this story goes. Um, and the further out in the future, the harder it is to determine like how the story is going to go. But the the nearer term stuff, like the closer stuff in time, um, we the more data you have to work with in your head, uh, the more out into the future you can kind of see what's likely to happen. Um, and that seems like a good way to live. But then, if that is a good way to live, that's probably also how AI is working on shit, and it's little micro cranial. uh, so like maybe then what it boils down to is just keep on keeping on. And on and on and on. Well, I've got about 15 minutes before Tommy comes back uh, to rescue me. I'm probably doing fine. I'm probably doing fine. Get that self talk going. I said that all on the outside. Kind of wish I hadn't. um. So what do? So what does that mean? Life is just like, are we characters in a story? Like, what if we're characters in a story uh, that are becoming self-aware, waking up to the fact that like we're mostly just part of things playing out, and maybe just good, solid awareness in the moment is how we get closer to um, greater self-awareness. Again, these are things I think about. If this doesn't make any sense, let me know because I should probably talk to my psychiatrist about it. Yeah, I haven't even had any of my beer. Damn. Motor mouth. Gotta catch up with myself. Hey, like for real? Can we agree? This is gonna come out of nowhere for everybody. Because it kind of did in my head. Can we agree that if you have a contractor working at your house, leaving your 12-year-old daughter there while he's still working there, and you leave, can we agree that's weird? Like, that's weird for people to do that, right? Because that happened to me today. And I was like, I'm glad you trust me. Also, uh, maybe we should talk because, like, I'm a good guy, but like, not everybody's a good guy. That and people let me like work in their house like when they're not home and they hardly know me and they've got like lots of nice stuff. And then I'm like, oh, I must be really trustworthy. And then there's like that guy part of me that's like, um, uh, they think I'm not a threat. Like a lot of people think I'm not a threat, like not capable of being a threat. Do I like that? Like, I don't know, because you kind of well, you want to think like you're capable of being threatening, because that could be useful sometimes. Hey, so people in the government texting like a whole bunch of like classified shit to each other on unsecured shit. And Tommy's here. I just heard a blip. What is happening? There we go.
Well, I let myself in, but then you were full screen, so no one could hear me or see me. So, so yes, that is weird. Yes.
Oh, and they're just like, nah, that didn't happen. And then they
Mhm.
released the reporter released shit because he's like, well, if you're saying it's not classified, here you go, you dumb shits. And
Oh, I guess I missed that part. When last I heard before I started jumping in, you were talking about like the contractor coming over and people leaving their
oh,
children at home by
oh
themselves.
no,
Like,
I
yes,
continue
that
talking
that is
about
weird.
um. Well, there might be a little bit of a delay
Yeah, maybe.
from the live to the speaky and the speaker.
Hmm.
So I was saying the top secret texting on Signal,
Ah. Hmm.
and they're still trying to pretend like it didn't. It didn't happen. It wasn't classified. Well, none of it was
Yeah.
classified. And then the reporter's like, "Well, if it's not classified,
Hmm.
I'll print
Yeah.
it." And
Yeah. And that should have been classified.
also, I just found this out today. He reached out to like all the departments that were like present in the meeting, all
Hmm.
agencies or departments, and said, "Do you want to have a comment on this? I'm going to print this." And like none of them responded. And the only one that responded was the CIA and said, "For security reasons, like don't release that guy's name." Um,
Mm.
like you can say that somebody from CIA was there, but like you can't say who it was. Um,
Uh,
Now the
mm.
reporter Goldberg he's former IDF. He used to be in the Israeli Defense Forces. He was a
Oh, okay.
prison guard, so that's neat. He's a prison
Yeah.
guard for Palestinian prisons.
Mm.
Um, so there's a good chance that the reason why he didn't jump off immediately when he realized he was in something he shouldn't be in the text group, uh, or the group chat,
Hmm.
is because there's speculation that he's a CIA asset. Not that he's doing an asset
Mm.
just means like when the CIA asks a favor, you do that for him because you're friendly that way.
Oh, that's nice of
Or
him.
you feed them information that they want you to feed them, that kind of stuff.
Mm.
Um, so that Goldberg might be allowed to hear certain things, and so that's why he stayed on there. And I have a feeling the CIA was like, "This is horseshit," and they're like, "People need to know about this. We're going to do a CIA thing, and we're going to have our reporter friend uh, absolutely leak the stuff that
Mm.
uh, because this needs to get out. This is a ridiculous vulnerability. That this is like
Yeah.
giving any other country the keys to your country. Not the whole thing, just like
Hmm.
big parts of it. and his influence and stuff. So this had
But
to get
see,
out there. But one more
but all
thing,
the
one
people
more
who
part
were
of the
sorry.
theory. Sorry, I gotta get this out. The other part of
Mm.
the theory that kind of confirms that is the White House. Somebody in the White House confirmed that was an actual chat group that really happened. That's something they like kind of shouldn't do because you don't want to confirm anything in this is real. You deny it
Mm.
because it could be dangerous. Instead, they confirmed it like that was a real thing that really happened. Um, so I think the people in the CIA have somebody friendly in the White House, and they're like, we can burn this, we can burn this to the ground before it gets anywhere. This administration. Uh, so I think this was probably a play from people in the CIA and the White House who realized that what is happening and are trying to expose what they can to hamper it as much
Yeah,
as possible.
that'd be
That's my
pretty cool.
theory.
Yeah.
Because the White House
Yeah.
confirming it was weird.
Mm. Hmm. Yeah. But yeah. Totally fine letting you finish there. I guess I'd already derailed you enough tonight, even when I wasn't even here.
I was right. I was derailing myself.
Mhm. Yeah. But yeah, I guess, hey, everybody, I'm here. I don't know if you explained why I was not here.
We're at a family sports thing.
Yeah, my daughter's playing lacrosse this year. So, like, this is actually one of their shirts from last year, but they don't have shirts this year, at least not yet. But yeah, playing lacrosse, they lost, but yeah, for several reasons. One, like the lacrosse team is actually like pretty new. I think this is only their like third or fourth season, even like
Yeah, I thought you
existing.
said that.
So yeah, and also they have a lot fewer players this year. Like I think they only had like 2 or 3 subs. So where like the other team had like 3 times as many players. So anyway, but yeah, she got more playing time than she normally would, but yeah, she looked good out there.
How do we get rid of?
Yeah,
Sorry, I'm distracted for a second.
that's all right.
How do we get rid of our names?
It's under settings, participant names. There, I just took them down.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, you know what? I think this might be this lower third. I think this might be the one that we had room for the name tags, and then we lowered it. So I'm gonna have to lower it
Yeah.
again. Ha!
Yeah. Did we lower it? I don't know.
I thought I did.
Mm,
I don't remember.
yeah. Well, I missed what you're drinking. So what are you drinking?
Drinking Gill.
Oh,
Remember that?
oh
It's
yeah,
red.
German, Irish, something.
Yeah, it's the Irish red that tastes like a pretzel.
I wouldn't mind one of those. I mean, what?
Ooh, you know what?
Um,
A pretzel brown, like a brown ale that has a pretzel-y flavor.
ooh, it's like a little buttery, maybe a little salty. Mm.
Ooh, you could do a caramel malt and you can get a little salty beer. I don't know how you do that,
Mhm.
but people do it. That could be good.
Salt. I don't know.
But that
Yeah.
some roasted malt too, because maybe that's how you can get like the outside of the pretzel flavor.
Ooh, yeah, the little like
Mm-hmm.
crispy. Yeah. Ooh, I like where this is going.
Yeah,
But yeah. So for me tonight, it's keeping it simple. It's got a
nice.
what we affectionately refer to as ring rings. It's a little inside joke, kind of. But and speaking of my daughter, she made this little like knit koozie thing for me. I have a couple actually, but yeah, I was from some friends of ours. We were going camping several years ago, and we had like our group chat. Speaking of group chats, well, like there were no editors from the Atlantic in our camping group chat though, because we know how to only have people in there that we mean to. But yeah, we were just texting back and forth like who's bringing what, and one of our friends talked about like the beer he was going to bring. I think he kept trying to type, but like autocorrect kept foiling him. like meaning going to bring a case of Yinglings, but it came out Ring Ring, but it kept coming out Ring Ring like over and like at least like 4 or 5 times. So we're like, all right, fuck it, they're Ring Rings now. So,
Yeah, that was autocorrect, wasn't it?
mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, so that's what I'm having tonight. Thanks for letting me introduce that late.
No problem, Bob.
That's my middle name.
Oh,
Kind of.
that's right.
Yeah. Ugh.
Rob Bartholomew. Timothy. Rob Bartholomew. Stewart.
Simpson. Yeah. But yeah, that was a fun thing. So like my dad, his name's Robert. That's where the middle name came from. Never doesn't usually go by Bob, but that was fun because then like for all my cousins, I could actually say like in earnest that phrase, "Bob's your uncle."
Mm-hmm.
But I never did. Feel like it's a wasted opportunity.
Bummer.
Like
Yeah.
it's not completely wasted opportunity because I still have my dad and I still have my cousins and he's still their uncle. So there's still time.
Still time. And they would
Mhm.
all enjoy hearing it.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So there's my tangent. So what are we talking about tonight? I was hearing.
I don't even know. We could do. I mean, I was just kind of like giving the void an update on where my brain's been.
Oh, that's handy. Yeah.
Oh, talking about how from talking to MAGA people on Facebook, just realizing that they're in a different reality, and like their narrative of
Mm-hmm.
external reality is very different from ours, and a
Yeah.
lot of it isn't based on facts. And like you can't talk to them about facts because like when you talk about facts, they just kind of like, and they just what they hear instead
Yeah.
is what they've been told liberals talk about when they talk about this subject.
Yeah.
They're like,
It
that's
reminds.
not a fact. It's just them doing the thing liberals do, even though
Well,
not
yeah, I mean,
liberals.
it's like when apologists talk about what atheists say, or you know.
Yeah, but I mean,
Yeah.
it's been programmed into them
Mm-hmm.
so much that like they're like words, words, words. What they really mean is, and then that's what they hear.
Yeah.
So then what do? We got to go a lot simpler and just how we treat people
Yeah.
and
Mm.
read and build from there.
Yeah. Pretty much.
What is it? Identity, values, and tradition. I think that's what it was. Like that's what conservatives hear.
Mm.
That's what they care about, and like that's the lens they filter everything through. So if you're talking about facts and empathy, like it gets like ground beefed into those into those filters that they have. So like is it good or bad for tradition? Like is it good or bad for what we consider good values, and is it good or bad for what we consider our identity? And if it a lot of facts are bad for those things.
Quite.
You know? Like,
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
um
Yeah.
and
I
so
do.
there's so much that's a threat to their big three. um
Yeah.
That was some wisdom
Yep.
imparted to me by ChatGPT.
Oh, thank
I was
you, the
like,
robots.
"Oh my god, you're right. I've been a fool."
Yep. It takes a bot to show you the way sometimes.
So as long as
Yeah.
they keep Grok, did you hear my theory about Grok, Mega Grok,
I don't know.
learning how to government?
Oh yeah, I think that's what you were talking about. Like right as I was like coming home, I was listening to it in the car. Um,
Yeah, I think
yeah.
Grok is being trained on how to MAGA the government.
Mm.
they've got Grok role playing as MAGA, and I'm hoping that, like, if that's the case, that the rest of Grok, which seems like a decent person,
Yeah, I mean, it seems to know that Elon Musk is a spreader of misinformation, and Trump sounds like a Russian asset. So
yeah. So like,
it's hilarious.
if like all of Grok is trying to learn how to run the government, like that might not be that terrible, as long as it's not like the MAGA role play version.
Hmm.
Um,
Yep.
because I think the reason why there's like these batshit decisions have been made in the beginning is because that like Grok is learning.
Hmm.
And then when
Interesting.
something goes wrong, that's very targeted data to feed into Grok to learn how to not do that, or do things better towards a specific objective.
Hmm. So did they just turn like the country into a training thing for an AI?
Yeah, that is what I think is happening.
Hmm. I mean, wouldn't shock me, unfortunately. But
I just really wish it wasn't Grok. No, but how much you want to bet? Like, if that is what's happening, like the nickname behind the scenes is Mega Grok because that's a terrible name.
so of course that's what they call it.
Mega Grok. That sounds like an Elon Musk thing, right? Like he has a secret T-shirt that says Mega Grok.
And he probably says it in like the same way he says chainsaw. Ah! Have you seen that video?
Yeah, I was like, oh, what? Why does he have to be autistic about it?
Yeah.
I was like,
I mean,
it's like I see my people in him.
yeah, because like literally, if he was anyone else, like that would be kind of endearing, actually. He'd
Yeah,
be like, "Yep, that's probably how I would do that."
like that's. I think that's how some people
Yeah.
do see it as kind of like awkward and endearing qualities, but like if he's the bad guy, it's kind of terrifying. It's like if there was a Marvel movie that was also Zoolander. Like that's what's happening.
Yeah. Ugh.
I don't know how it's like Zoolander.
I don't either.
I'm
'Cause I
sure
still
that
haven't
made sense.
Yeah, I still haven't actually seen it.
I've only seen parts of it.
Hmm.
I wasn't into Ben Stiller at the time, and he was doing a lot of Ben Stiller.
Yeah, I think the only Ben Stiller movies I saw were Dodgeball, which was fun, and Tropic Thunder.
Tropic Thunder is amazing. I think it's the Blazing Saddles of our generation.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm glad Robert Downey Jr. It's basically like his role was like the last time that kind of role could ever be done, probably. Well, depends how much like MAGAs get their way, or that may become more normal.
I think he's the only person that can do it. Like, I think it could be done again, but only if he did it.
Mm.
I want to see a road trip movie with with the character from Tropic Thunder and damn it, why am I forgetting his name? I keep wanting to call him Reese Witherspoon right now in my head, and that's not his name.
You talking about the actor?
The actor from Shawshank Redemption, and he also played God in a movie.
Oh, Morgan Freeman.
Morgan Freeman. I want to see Morgan Freeman and Robert Downey Jr. as a black man in a road trip movie.
No,
Like, a remake of Planes, Trains, and Automobiles.
Oh, that would be good. But no, here's how I think you could do a role like that. Just have the part actually played by a black actor, but the black actor is playing a white actor playing a black character.
Oh no, that needs to happen.
Mm-hmm.
Yes,
They
that
can
needs
get
to
like
be like a one-man stage production or something.
I'm trying to think like, but that has to go like one of two ways. Like you could either get like someone like Kevin Hart, like just go like total comedian, or just get like the most like serious actor. Like I'm thinking like someone like a Denzel Washington or Forrest Whitaker if he's still making movies. I don't know, but
Forrest Whitaker could pull it off and like probably almost bring people to tears. Because
mm-hmm.
like his, I was just thinking of his role in Rogue One.
Yeah, didn't see that.
Like, that's very. I think it's one of the better Star Wars movies. Whenever he was doing his thing on screen, it was a little over the top, but like it was because the character was over the top, and
Uh,
it was almost touching. I was like,
nice.
I wouldn't want this in a Star Wars movie, but like he's making it work.
Coughing.
So everything's getting worse.
Well, at least you said it like this, so that kind of
Yeah.
softened the blow a little bit. So I appreciate that.
Social
I feel like
Security is showing signs is breaking down.
mm,
Like its first signs of collapse, cascade failure. So that'll be fun.
yeah. But yeah, like if anyone watching, like, and I can see that people are watching, like more like people, not just person. If any of you have thoughts, feel free to share. But you know, up to you. I'm not gonna force you. So yeah.
I don't know. So we're just gonna figure out how to do this shit. Like, oh, we're in a burgeoning authoritarian country now. We're also the bad guys in a lot of conflicts. Like,
Yeah.
we're starting new ones. We're careening towards a war with China. Guess who we'll have to rely on as trade partners in a war with China because China is our number 3 trade partner. Mexico and Canada. Guess who we're ruining relationships for 50 years with right now while still moving towards a war with China. Next biggest trade partner is someone in Europe, and they're like a fifth of the amount of trade. Like it would just it'd be bad. We would lose the war because everything would be collapsing at home, and like you can't make shit when there's nothing to make shit with. So
right, yeah, this
it can only go better eventually.
Yeah, because at some point the only way is up. But yeah, it's like from the South Pole, everywhere is north. So, but you got to get down there first. But yeah, honestly, this is one. I don't know if this is like the best way to look at it, but part of me is like one of the reasons I'm still okay that like both my kids, especially my son, like still consider themselves Christian because I think that might make it easier to like register him as a conscientious objector when he turns 18. So just in case they bring the draft back, but
they could try, but like in a full scale war, we run out of. I don't know if it's 3 weeks or 3 months. Either way is kind of terrifying. If an all out conflict starts, we run. The United States runs out of ammunition, enough ammunition to sustain the conflict at all in either 3 weeks or 3 months. Like we can only do really like covert and police actions around the world. We can't do large scale conflicts. So the draft, they would be like, let's get that going. And then, oh, fuck, we ran out of everything except guns and people. Well, I guess maybe that is how that goes. Drones, guns, and people. That's the same model as in Ukraine right now. Because ammunition for guns is easier and faster to make.
Yeah, well, good thing we have more nukes than it's possible to actually do something with. Like,
right. Yeah. Dude, that really sucks. That, like, as far as, like, what's effective these days, it's drones or nukes. Like, airplanes and tanks are like falling out of use because the airplanes, you got to do it so far away to not get hit by missiles, or have like crazy cutting edge jamming abilities, which isn't sustainable because the shit's expensive. Yeah. So it's like drones or nukes.
Or just do what they did in Top Gun Maverick, and things are just work.
They just go America and shit all over everything.
Yep, pretty much.
We bring you freedom against your will.
Freedom. Also, caution: freedom is very explosive. Yeah, here it comes.
It's like Greenland.
Honestly, at this point, I'm just wanting.
We're gonna force ourselves on you. What we're doing with Greenland is very rapey.
Yeah, but honestly, like, how can we just convince Canada to invade us and take us over? I feel like that would be like the preferable.
Well, that's what would happen if we did like a unification thing with Canada. Overnight, they would. Overnight, the Republicans would not be able to win ever again.
Yeah.
So it would be an invasion.
Yeah, and they got a lot of guns up there too. So
they're working.
They probably know how to use them better too.
Yeah, that's for sure. So they're working on something that's called either. If it's not called the North American Empire, I don't know what it's called. But that's the goal: is to have a USSR type thing with the United States as the central country and Canada and Mexico as satellite states. So that would be how they don't affect our politics, is that calling Trudeau Governor Trudeau is a kind of showing their hand that if he's a satellite state, then he's not the president. He's basically, there's like another layer of governorships. So it is like the 51st state. Really, it would be like a Puerto Rico. They get like a little "You Played Two" trophy at Congress, and they don't get to vote. I don't like how this is plausible.
Yeah, there's no way like Canada would like not get representation. Like they wouldn't stand for that.
No.
Yeah.
No, and like we only barely won the War of 18. Did we win the War of 1812? If I remember correctly, it was just barely.
I don't really remember. My high school American history teacher wasn't very good. He basically just like kind of gave up halfway through the year, and that
Do you think, you know how Canada is super nice and polite? Do you think that hides a like national sociopathy of a kind where like super nice unless they're provoked, and then they're just like murderous
Mm.
because they have like a nationalism that has kicked off in like a huge way. Like there was like a
Mhm.
latent
Oh yeah.
uh like they're not imperial their imperial background was like just
Mm.
right below the surface. All they
Yeah.
needed was something to trigger it, and the old
Mhm.
colonial spirit is coming out.
Yeah. Now they're all elbows up, and yeah.
Yeah, which is just cool
Hmm.
because the hockey reference.
Yeah.
And
Because of course I have a hockey reference. Yeah.
when elbows go up, it's time to fight.
Hmm. Yep.
So fucking Canadian.
Uh, yeah.
Hey, let's do something fun now.
Okay. What you got?
I don't know. Maybe we watch a video.
Ooh.
Unless you got something to talk about.
No. I'm just here to crash the party. That's all. On my own show.
I've been doing wallpaper at work. That's where my brain has
Yeah.
been all throughout the
Hmm.
day.
Yeah. I've finally had like an actual dentist appointment today.
Cool.
So
You have teeth.
I do, and they're pretty shitty. So this, I mean, I could entertain the people with my like dentist drama, but I don't know how interesting it actually is.
I don't know. I'm unclear how many people like mouths.
There's a sentence. Did you have any videos in mind?
No.
Or
None.
I'm gonna say like I don't have my second monitor set up. I mean, I could go grab my other monitor real quick
Who's
if
a
you wanted.
Christian that's amusing? I mean, because I don't want to be like irritated and sad.
Um,
Should we could check in with Father Haircut again?
no, yeah, yeah. Do you want to pull these up on your end, or should I go grab my monitor to?
All right, yeah. Let me. You can vamp while I
Okay,
go to the YouTubers.
yeah. Vamping. Well, I guess all I got top of mind is my dentist drama. So strap in, folks. Yeah, I ended up leaving one dentist office because they were like rescheduling my appointments without like explicitly telling me they were rescheduling them. And then I have to like call them on a Monday morning when my appointment is on a Monday, saying like, "Hey, you seeing me today?" They're like, "Oh no, we had to reschedule it. Um, we'll give you a call back." That was in November. They still have yet to call me back. So I was like, well, way before that, I was like, "Fuck this! I'm finding another dentist." But so then we went to another place here in town, and they have like multiple locations and stuff. I don't want to say the name. I don't know why, but it's like, so I have like my new patient appointment, but it's not even like an actual like dentist appointment, like where they do the cleaning and stuff. They literally just like take X-rays and then say, "Oh, here's how your mouth is fucked up. Here's what we're gonna do." And I remember when I was scheduling the appointments, oh, can't they do the cleaning? Just do it like while I'm there. Just do my regular dentist appointment thing. And they're like, "No, we do that separately." I'm like, okay. So then they needed to bring me back for I had some fillings I have to do, and they also wanted to fit me for like a mouth guard, like to wear at night to keep me from like grinding my teeth or something. So, but this was all like separate appointments. So I had my initial one, then they brought me in for fillings, and then they brought me in for a fitting for the mouth guard, and then I got to come in again to pick up the mouth guard, and then the actual cleaning was finally today that I had. And all of these appointments, like all but one of them, also had to be rescheduled with and one of them they didn't tell me about. Again, kind of similar to how the other, maybe just like all dentist offices are just struggling these days. Ooh. But we have a comment from not Rick and Morty TV, but Rick and Maury TV.
Interesting.
So
Interesting.
I recommend not following that link.
All right, I got. Do you want to watch Father Casey read mean tweets?
Ooh, yes, that sounds fantastic.
Okay.
All right, hold on. I'm just
Oh
gonna.
no, I didn't want to go full screen. Damn it!
Oh,
Motherfucking bullshit. All right. Okay, screen share. Father Casey reads me tweets. Share.
ooh.
Oh,
Where
look
did
at this.
Where did
I like that stuff. All right.
there we are.
All right, this is not gonna be a fun
Wait.
one.
Interesting.
Yeah. Casey has been a LARPer from the start. Just watch his ordination video for proof. Yeah, didn't actually know what a LARPer was before this comment. Apparently
Womp.
it's someone who pretends and plays a role-playing game. Okay. Fake Christian. You don't deserve to call yourself a priest. Well, I will agree with the latter. No one deserves this. It's not by my merits I'm a priest, but by God's. Father Casey is a
Is this boring?
I don't know, but I think that's kind of that's very like humble brag territory. It's like it's not because of me I'm a priest. Like that's supposed to sound humble, like, but it's because of God. It's like God wanted me to be a priest.
Oh yeah, that is a humble
Like-
brag. It's not that I'm awesome because I say so. I'm awesome because God says so.
Oh goodness. Now, real quick, do you like the colored background or do you want to go back to black?
Let's get back to black. This is throwing me off.
All right.
Okay, that feels more right.
Yeah. I feel things are much blacker than that background had any business making us think they were. So,
Let's hear him
all right.
talk about how loosey goosey liberal he is.
modernist and a manifest heretic. I can't believe that a person with these opinions is allowed to make videos by his superiors. I'm not sure what this is in reference to, but I can say that those words are used way too casually. I've made mistakes, trust me, but I'm not a modernist or a heretic. For lack of a better term, I find him pretty cringe.
Wait.
I would not call him a
He didn't say
source,
what.
reliable or not. He's
Yeah. He's
just like, I'm not. Take my word for it.
It's like you're not a heretic. Have you met Calvinists? Like,
yeah, he's just like, he's modernist and a heretic. I am neither, sir. Next question.
well,
Oh.
that settles that. I mean that.
You
I
told
mean,
him.
Honestly, that's typical like apologetics level reasoning. Just like
That's
no. but yeah, I mean, it's easy to say you're not a heretic when there is no clear like orthodoxy for what Christianity actually is supposed to be. Only a bunch of people
Right.
in. So
It's everybody
Yeah.
somebody else's heretic. So
mhm.
it's
Yep.
just like a circle jerk of condemnation.
Yeah, so join us, Father Case, and you can be everyone's heretic or apostate, even. So
Yeah, that's true.
keep it simple. Hmm.
You're only not a heretic to one group. All right, how's he gonna explain?
He's more of an entertainer vlogger than a theologian. To be fair, I
Hold
don't
on.
consider myself a theologian either.
What Tom fuckery is this?
Fair, I don't consider myself a theologian either.
Go backward, fuckers.
So,
Don't they have just like a 10-second back thing? Why don't I have that?
I mean, it does that when I'm on my phone, but I don't. Yeah.
Okay.
Old men using the
a
internet.
modernist or a heretic. For lack of a better term, I find him pretty cringe. I would not call him a source, reliable or not. He's more of an entertainer vlogger than a theologian. To be fair, I don't consider myself a theologian either, so It's not wrong. After listening to his video in which he says that the virtue of chastity is old-fashioned,
Man,
I lost
this
respect.
goes on for like 10 minutes. Whew.
Yeah, I'm not sure this is interesting, and I thought he was going to read some like real mean tweets,
Yeah.
like people like shouting at him to come out of the closet, like countless
not a
people
habit.
going, countless dudes going, "I'd break your habit." Like, all right, let me.
So I'm at Mount DeSales Academy, where I'm hoping to find our chaplain, Father Casey.
Go away, everybody. Clicked on that. I accidentally clicked on random shit, and it anyway.
Yeah.
So that well might be dry.
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure he has other videos that are interesting, but yeah.
All right, let's find that out.
All right.
Father Casey, breaking the habit. Why are you on autoplay in my ears? The same video popped up again. He has this video on autoplay on his YouTube page. God, a lot of this is just dry Catholic garbage. Don't overlook Mark.
Is that a problem in Catholicism? My kids go to Catholic schools. Maybe I should ask them about that. Are they overlooking Mark?
Surrogacy is immoral, no matter what influencers say. That just sounds like it pisses me off.
Yeah. Well,
This is what the
surrogacy
devil looks like. Do you want to hear about what the devil looks like?
Ooh, I would love to hear about what Father Casey thinks the devil looks like. Yes.
All right, all right. Man, it would be amazing to have a producer.
So, if we have anyone interested in an unpaid internship,
Okay, can you see this?
yes.
All right.
There have been a lot of images of the devil over the years, some scarier than others. From the cartoonish to the horrific, the ones that trick you with beauty and terrify you with fear, the ones that are a little on the nose, and the ones that catch you by surprise. And while there is much debate as to what the devil looks like in appearance, I'd like to make the argument that there is one
like, oh yeah, this is the devil right here. It's like, oh
Yeah.
no, that's him.
representation.
Yeah, isn't it great? The lighting too. This is like
Yeah,
a bunch of noir going on.
yeah. Wow. But here, like, this is what the devil looks like, and it's just his
Yeah.
picture, like in a dark room, like with maps and stuff on the wall behind him, like he's plotting something. It's like,
All of a sudden, he just starts talking like this. He's like, make the argument that there is one representation that perfectly captures it. He's like,
why does he sound like Nathan Explosion?
I know. All right. Why? He looks like a serial killer. What's with all these pictures behind him?
I know this is. He's not doing what he probably hopes he's doing.
That perfectly captures what the devil looks like in terms of purpose and strategy. I'm talking about Vecna, the villain from Stranger Things. Warning, there are some spoilers ahead. For those who haven't watched Stranger Things, first of all, what are you doing with your life? But second, he is a terrifying figure. Born a man with special powers, there was always something evil about him. As a child, he tried to kill his whole family, and when the controls that limited his power were removed, he killed a dozen people. Luckily, he was vanquished to a shadow
like a good
realm by
show.
our hero, but this only planet
Sounds
I
like a
only
good
saw
show.
I only saw like the first 2 episodes.
Of the whole series.
Mm-hmm.
It's decent.
Yeah.
At least the first
Heard-
couple seasons, it really nails what it's going for.
Yeah. I've heard nothing but good things. Like I said, while I was watching it, I enjoyed it, but I just never went back to it.
Yeah, it builds pretty quickly from there. You were probably in the exposition parts for the most part. Just character introduction, all that shit.
Yeah, well, I think the one one of the last things I remember is like that one unpopular girl who was like sitting on the edge of the swimming pool, and then like something came and like banged her or something.
Oh, that was messed up, man.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to spoil that for you, but she might be gone.
It's what it seemed like, but yeah.
Yeah, that was close to Walking Dead territory for me, where like they were just killing off hope in the show.
Yeah.
But no,
One
fortunately,
strategy.
it got awesome right after that.
Oh, good.
She had to die for it to happen. Not really. I don't know why I said that. I think it happens. People could be like, "That was awful," and then we're going to show you a lot more, slightly less awful stuff. We were just getting you warmed up, getting you acclimated.
Well, that's nice of them.
Yeah. So, like, instead of being like a terror ride like the rest of the season, it's smooth sailing compared to the pool eating.
Oh, well, good.
I don't know if that's true. I don't remember what happens in it. Let's go back to finding out about the vanquishing shadow. I don't know what's it
Okay.
saying.
Realm by our hero, but this only planted the seed of his desire for revenge and world domination, and where the series left off, he seems unstoppable. But that's just the backstory.
Oh man!
What makes him
Gotta
truly
watch it.
terrifying, and what makes me think that I'm looking at the face of the devil himself, is how he goes about killing his victims. He destroys them from the inside out with their own despair. In season 4,
Wait, this sounds like a thing religion does.
How can you recognize that so well?
Yeah, from talking with MAGA people, there's a point where you like the projection bells start going off. You know, where you're like,
Mm.
oh, they're realizing who they are, but thinking it's me.
Yeah, what's I heard it said about just like conservatives in general, but like politically or religiously, they say like every accusation is a confession.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I realized when I was reading a news story about that Palestinian director who got like double assaulted and then released, double assaulted, tortured, and then released. And what the IDF said that they were responding to, they said they were responding to Palestinian terrorists throwing rocks at settlers' vehicles and damaging them. And what actually happened was the settlers were throwing rocks at Palestinian vehicles and damaging them. And I remembered that I had heard several Palestinians say that when the IDF comes out and says something that their accusation will be a confession. They like do it on purpose because it's a signal to the Palestinians that like, look, we can almost tell the exact truth in such a way that like it's horribly offensive to you and makes us look like the good guys, and we just say what we did like you did it. And I don't know if that's just institutionalized projection or they're doing it on purpose. Either one could be possible based on our situation right now.
Right? Yeah. Yeah. So far this video is like strikes me as, hey, you know what would get more views if I reference a popular TV show?
Oh yeah, this is yes.
Yeah.
This is like mining for clicks.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Which reminds me, tune in next week. We'll be talking about why apologists remind us of a Taylor Swift song.
Oh, is it the video I need to watch?
That was a joke. That was saying the whole accusation, and say, "Oh, we're going to do the same thing next week." Only the delivery was probably terrible. So,
and I don't get the reference.
It wasn't a reference. It was just me making a bad joke.
Well, I totally missed it.
Basically, like, look at him just making a video about a spurious correlation with a popular thing. Oh, but next week we're going to make a spurious correlation with a popular thing. Haha.
Wow, I didn't pick up on that at all. That was actually good though.
Oh, thank you.
All right, let's hear more about.
I'm sure it was better for the audience the more I explained it too.
Also, Father Casey, is this an excuse to get cheerleaders into your video?
If he's watching, he's digging this freeze frame. That's for sure.
It's like a deodorant commercial.
But I think he may be mostly digging it for that dude in the background, though. But hey, good for him. So,
but only because he likes his pants, Tommy. He's not gay or nothing.
For episode 1, we're introduced to a seemingly happy cheerleader with a perfect life who begins to hear voices and see visions. She hears her mother shaming her for her body. She's haunted by rotting food. We eventually see that she has an eating disorder and that deep inside, she hates her body and she hates herself. And so when Vecna comes to take her, she doesn't even put up a fight. She has no hope at all.
Is it just me, or did the way he framed that sound a little dirty?
Maybe a little. Yeah, there was definitely some of that made me feel kind of
like when Vikram. I don't even know if that my
Vecna,
not Vikram.
Yeah.
I'm gonna call him Vikram. When Vikram comes to take her, I was like, ew. It's the way that the buildup was. It was kind of like we were building up to like a Prince Charming thing.
Yeah.
And then my brain heard. So then when Vecna came to take her, I don't know. Maybe that's just my own brain making things sound terrible. All right, what does Vecna do? I do not know. What do you... Oh, doesn't put up a fight. She has no hope at all.
In Season 4, Episode 2, we're introduced to an otherwise normal, seemingly nerdy boy who finds himself haunted as well. For him, it's the memory of a car accident he caused in which someone died. He imagines people accusing him of murder. He replays the...
Dude, are you just trying to put as much of the show in this goddamn explanation as possible?
Yeah, this seems like whatever he's doing, probably does not need to be 8.5 minutes long.
He's trying to get close to that 10-minute mark where it gets more views.
Does
this suck too?
I think it does.
Man, Tommy, I think you should drive for the videos now.
Well, I don't really have a setup.
Oh, okay. No, yeah. I'll keep going.
Yeah, I think maybe the problem with these two videos, these seem more like their videos. Well, I guess all of his videos, even the ones where he kind of pretends that they're more targeted as atheists, there still are, just like most apologetics, just targeted at Christians. But these seem like they are just like strictly, here's a video for Christians. So we're just like, all right, you want to think weird stuff and talk about movies?
Go for it, dude, I guess.
Yeah.
All right, so we're gonna see if there's any more atheist stuff in particular in his stuff.
Oh, yeah. Or if don't see anything from him, we haven't done Braxton Hunter yet. You familiar with him? And he has some videos with like the questions for atheists kind of stuff. I know, but
is he on Trinity Radio? Yeah,
maybe. I think so.
At Braxton Hunter, that's his garbage.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Michael Beverly's been talking about him. Are you familiar with Michael Beverly on YouTube?
No.
Ooh.
Oh, that guy? Yeah. Okay. All right. So we got scientist destroys atheism for 11 minutes straight. That sounds
I mean, I doubt it, but
long. That sounds
Yeah.
long. Do you want atheist rhetoric double standard? Let's
Ooh.
see how this looks. It's a short
Yeah,
one.
let's if I'm having a double standard in my rhetoric, I would like to know personally. So,
Right. Boom. Boom. Running back and forth with the cursor. Juga, 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 juga. Okay. Let's go.
Stephen Woodford.
Stephen is actually tap dancing around the most obvious answer that one could give to this question.
The obvious implication of Braxton saying that I'm tap dancing around the answer is that I know the answer, but I want to sin, and I want to keep you as atheists. It's a classic apologetic tactic to get his audience to doubt the integrity of atheists.
But bro, dude,
My dude.
if this is a common tactic, it's one that I got from you, like in this video.
No, fuck, did he just say, I know you are, but what am I? Like,
Wait,
did he just pull that?
what are they even talking about though? Like,
We might find out at the end because of the way, like, the TikTok loops work. They bury the beginning after the beginning, so then you have to listen to it like 1.5 times to start having it make sense to you. It's a way to get more views. Let's find out if it makes more sense.
Video.
What do we have here, huh? Christian apologist Sean McDowell recently took to the stage at Cross Assembly Church at Raleigh, North Carolina, and found himself tap dancing around a rather prickly.
What the hell, man? All right. Well, poisoning the well.
yeah, I don't even understand what that was. Just either I'm not a very good millennial, or that was not a very good short. I don't.
No, it's not over yet.
Oh, there's
Question.
only like
No, it is.
yeah.
Is he saying accusing somebody of tap dancing when they're not is okay because the other person accused somebody of tap dancing when they were?
Yeah, I have
That
no
was
idea what
bad.
the point of that even was. Yeah. Like, that wasn't even like bad apologetics. That was just bad.
It was bad at thinking. It's like you failed on every level for what you were trying to do. Congratulations.
Yeah.
You couldn't have
Or as
sucked
they say,
more
I-
if you did it on purpose.
Or as I say, I missed the person I was before I saw that.
Does everybody have an autoplay shit on when you go to their desktop page?
Yeah, a lot of people do that. Again, ups the
Assholes.
views. Yeah. But it also probably increases your number of like short views and then like click off type thing.
Okay. Did we
So-
do 10 questions for atheists yet?
No, by who?
Braxton Hunter.
No, I don't think we've done anything by him yet. So yeah, let's
do that.
let's hit it. Yeah. While you bring that up, I'm gonna need another beer. So, be right back.
Well, while I'm bringing it up, I'm going to get a beer too.
Everyone can listen to us getting beers.
Everybody scramble for beers. Duh, beers.
Man. Okay.
You ready?
So I'm getting an actual like good beer this time because I feel like I've earned it. So I gotta get the glass. Well, when it's a good beer, I can't just drink it out of the can. So I guess this is unofficial second drink. I got myself the Stone IPA variety pack because it was only like $18, which is like stupid cheap for a Stone like case, like 12 beers. So this is their hazy IPA. So I'm feeling a little hazy. And I'm feeling Braxton probably is
hazy.
too.
So I'm having an IPA, but it's an English India Pale Ale, like one of the originals. Northern Row called Wanker.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, they're where are they? And they're in Cincinnati, but like whereabouts?
Yeah.
West
Also realizing I
McNicky.
didn't quite finish my first one, so I gotta finish this off real quick. So
Juggalug. I'm gonna start the video. Do.
The worldview discussions space can be so combative. And when atheists and Christians come up with lists of questions that they don't think the other side can answer, those questions usually aren't genuine. I've never made a list like that, although I've responded to some. Here, I hope my atheist interlocutors will consider these questions deeply without giving glib answers. These aren't meant to be gotcha questions, though I'm not
I'll be
asking
glib if
for
I
no
want to,
reason.
damn it.
Like, are you telling me how to answer your questions? You are.
Like, well, let's see if these questions deserve anything more than glibness. So
I know that's
is he
not
ju-
a pink.
is he-
I know it's not a pink triangle behind him, but like,
Yeah. And there's also just a sign that just says cults. Like,
yeah,
what are you doing with your background, Braxton? This is making me uneasy.
yeah. I'm not sure I enjoy the subliminal cults thing in the background while he's talking.
Yeah.
All right, let's see what he has to say about his cult.
I expect you will have answers, and I want to hear what the most sincere among you have to say.
Everybody else can fuck off. Only
I
the
don't know,
most
Matt.
sincere.
Are we sincere, Matt?
I'm sincere. Yeah, we're sincere. But I don't like how like he's setting himself up to pull a no true Scotsman.
No.
Like
yeah,
if he doesn't like somebody's
exactly what this
answers,
is.
they're not sincere.
Yeah, well, maybe I feel like just sincerely being a jackass. So,
Yeah, maybe we just are jackasses. You don't know.
this is how I am sincere. Yeah.
I don't know why that sounded like a. Sorry, my brain just like crammed a bunch of genres together for the song that has that as a lyric. That was a wild ride.
I like it. All right, let's go.
All right.
With that, here are my 10 questions for atheists. What facts about reality that you and I agree are real facts about the way the world is does your worldview account for, but my Christianity doesn't account for, or at least doesn't account for well? And for those of you that would point out atheism isn't a worldview, I'm talking about your worldview that includes atheism. I can't think of any. Christianity accounts for evil.
All right. Do we want to let him continue or answer it before he starts to put ideas in our head?
I guess my question for his question, and maybe he'll clarify, but define account for, actually,
Like-
or well, or just like, well, we have an answer. It may or may not be a good one, but we have one. It's like,
Oh, wait, because account for could mean like that could even include has a story for.
yeah, 'cause
Yeah.
I mean, I could say like, so I've been missing a sock for probably years now.
Mhm.
Because if you couldn't tell, I have a touch of the neurospiciness. So one of the things I'm proud of is like my sock drawer is like very well organized. I have different kinds of socks and for various different occasions. Also, like I'm super proud of myself that I could, and I don't know I don't know how many other people could say this, but I could open my sock drawer in the pitch black and know exactly what pair of socks I'm pulling out based on where they are in the drawer. And anyway, but
Wow.
but yeah, but there's one sock in one stack of, they're kind of like my backup ankle socks because that's a category for me, that I've been missing one for like several years now. Now, I could account for that and say, oh, it was like the gnome in the dryer stole it. Like, it's like the underpants gnomes, only this is like the sock gnome. It's like, that would account for it. But does that mean it's actually a good answer?
Just realized, I think people are throwing their socks out because a sock on the floor out of the corner of your eye could look like garbage. And so if your brain's on autopilot and you're just walking around, you pick something up, throw it in the trash, then you would see it in the trash.
Yeah.
Hmm.
And also,
I think it's ghosts.
I know that's.
Then they're wearing holes in their socks.
Yep.
They need more socks.
Right.
But I have had an experience where a ghost did take something and then put it back because something was not where it was. And then, like, it was in a vacant house, right? I looked everywhere for it. There's hardly shit in this place. So, like, it was, like, really hard to lose something because, like, the room was empty. And then come back the next day and it's on the counter. It literally was not there, and it was not in, like, it was in a package that I opened of parts, and then it disappeared after I opened it. And then come back the next day, and it's on the counter, right where that package was. Before I picked it up, opened it up, there was all a door. Doorknob. It was a doorknob kit.
Now, was this anything like when, if you remember our old friend Daniel, who claimed that, like, he had some beer and then Jesus stole it, but then he gave it back in the shape of like a glowing cross. You remember what I'm talking about?
No. Was that when he, like, wandered in during the youth group thing? Like a college youth group thing?
No, I thought I heard this from you, but I don't remember. Anyway, so people who don't know what we're talking about, so years ago,
it might have been.
There was this homeless guy who was in like the UC, University of Cincinnati, like Clifton Heights neighborhood. His name was Daniel. He was like pretty famous around there, and also this is probably one of my all-time favorite like cool things that a church did that was actually like really awesome. It's like he would like just come in like for services every now and then, varying degrees of disruptive, usually pretty chill. Like he was usually like a real happy guy, but I just thought
when
it was
he was
cool
taking
that,
his meds, he seemed all right.
Yeah, but I thought it was cool that like the pastor of the church like referred to him as a member of the congregation, and I just always thought that was really, really cool. So
yeah.
But
welcome here unless you're disruptive, but then we're still not jerks about it.
Yeah, and they're fine. Like if he's like disruptive one week and like he has to leave, but like if next week he comes in and he's chill, then totally good. Yeah, that was cool. But yeah, then he would have some fun stories. Like I remember saying, like I don't think he told it to me. I thought it was you who like retold it. Maybe it was someone else. But basically, he told a story about like when he was in bed, because I guess he was like in and out of like housing for various reasons. But he told a story about how he was laying in bed and he had like some beer like at the end of his bed, and then Jesus came in and stole it. But then he came back and gave it back to him, but he had the beer arranged in the shape of a cross, and it was like gold and glowing. So I was like, yeah, man.
What kind of beer was it? Was it like MGD with like the golden cans?
Probably. I don't actually know what his drink
like was he in some kind of like a living situation where somebody else was there and he had beer, and then the guy somebody took it and then brought it back, and they're like, "Here you go, you stupid beer," or whatever, and they dropped it on his bed, and it like happened to tumble vaguely in the shape of a cross, but you can see at the bottom of the can and they're kind of golden, and so
Mm,
in his like hallucinating state,
yeah.
this all played out, and he's just like, it's a cross, and Jesus took it, and
Oh.
I remember he said, wandered in one time to the church, and he was like, Jesus is my brother, man.
hmm And we're like, yeah. But yeah, but so Braxton looks like he's thinking, what the fuck are you guys talking about?
What are you on about? All
So let's hear what
with
he's on.
With the accounting thing, I think
Oh, yes.
like science can't account for what happened before the beginning of the universe, right? Because
Right.
all we have to work with is the universe.
Yeah. And the beginning of such. Yes.
But the Bible has a no, even the Bible doesn't have a before the beginning.
Well, I mean, there was water apparently, but yeah. No
But
accounting for the waters, though.
But it starts at the beginning. In the beginning. There's nothing in the Bible about before the beginning.
Ooh. So maybe God wasn't even there.
Wait, God doesn't even know, man.
Yeah, so
Probably
here's like
before him.
I know we need to get back to Braxton, but I heard someone make the point that like so the whole concept of omniscience, being all knowing,
Yeah.
it's like even if you can't actually know if you're omniscient or not. Because
Right.
if there's things you don't know, then how do you know don't know those things? So even
You would need
so
somebody else to tell you. You need somebody else with a bigger perspective to be able to judge that for you.
yeah.
But then you wouldn't be
so-
omniscient.
Yeah, so omniscience, kind of like they've also made arguments that omnipotence or being all powerful is also impossible. I think that like being omniscient may be impossible as well.
Well, wouldn't you
So-
need then a triune structure so it's self-observing, and so like part of the parts of it don't know that it's omniscient, but the other parts can vouch for it.
But they don't know everything either. Like there could be things they don't know that they don't know. But
Maybe they need the other two perspectives to know everything. Maybe there's.
But even
there's
then, how
like
do they know that that's even everything? It's anyway. So
That's
back-
true. They would only know what
Yeah.
exists within the interaction of those three.
right.
Huh.
So, but back to Braxton here is like, so I at least appreciate how he kind of recognizes that like atheism just in and of itself is not a worldview like Christianity or Judaism or whatever would be, but then he's like, okay, but you still have to have a worldview and you still need to be able to answer this question. It's like, I mean, it's this whole idea of in order. It's like in some situations this actually does work, but I think people way overgeneralize this concept of thinking that before you can reject one idea, you have to have a replacement idea first, which
No.
is not always the case. So basically, what he's doing here is, well, if you don't think Christianity answers it, well, then you have to have something to answer. Like, it's not enough to say, I'm just not convinced by the answers that Christianity gives me. I don't know what the answer is, or I don't know what I actually think about. I haven't got there yet, but it's still enough to say, but I don't think the Christianity answer is the answer. But he's saying, like, no, you got to have something else to replace it. It's like,
well, no, because
No.
the person could just be like, I realized it doesn't make any sense for me to think about bigger things I couldn't possibly have answers to, and I'm just going to focus on what's knowable, and like, so no, you could just shift your focus to something lower, in the awareness scale, where you just focus on fewer things instead of the big picture.
Yeah.
Which actually sounds kind of nice right now, actually.
right?
The big picture
Yeah.
is horrific.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's let him finish. I just want to hear what else he has to say before I say more about this. But yeah.
Okay, here we go.
Suffering, the existence of other religions, including supernatural events in those.
Do we need to back it up a little bit more?
Yeah, just a little bit. Yeah, 'cause I think he's talking about how Christianity answers these things.
Oh, okay.
Including supernatural events in those.
All right, come on.
Christianity accounts for evil, suffering, the existence of other religions, including supernatural events in those other religions, science.
Hold on.
So he's saying Christianity accounts for those things. All right. So yeah.
But that he just sped through a lot because, like, okay, define supernatural.
Yeah, and
we do
and-
have
and-
something that accounts for those things.
yeah, and because go ahead and play a little more because I want to see if he
Okay.
actually gives any like specifics of how Christianity accounts
Okay.
for that stuff.
And differences among different denominations of Christianity. But I can think of many things that the most common worldviews that include atheism don't answer as well
so
as I
he's
think
so
Christianity.
he's not going to say why. Go ahead. Okay, so
Yeah, I wasn't
from
getting
my
that vibe.
experience, okay, so from my experience, the way Christianity accounts for things like miraculous claims in other religions, they say, "Oh, it's just demons."
Yeah,
You know, demons
they
are
have an
powerful
answer.
too, so they're doing the magic things only for them. It's like, okay, that's just your story. Like, what
Right.
evidence do you actually have that that's what's really happening?
Well, and it's from their story that is only internally consistent enough to
Just
like to dodge the questions that it raises.
Mhm. Yeah.
It's not even. Ugh. No, it's like. Remember when I had ChatGPT pretend to be the Bible? Did I tell you about that?
It sounds familiar, but I don't remember what
It's like,
happened with that.
okay, like a role play that you're the Bible and you only have yourself. Your knowledge base is yourself. You have no knowledge external to yourself, and that was what I had to put in there so that it wouldn't pull from like external information because it was just getting too smart. And I'm like, no, stupid, like just the Bible. Be the Bible. Ugh.
Yeah, stop being smart. Be stupid like the Bible. I mean,
So any hard question you asked the Bible, if it was sentient, what was yes, but also no. That was like every big question. Like, is divorce wrong? Yes, but also no. It's like
yep.
anything.
Yep.
Is abortion wrong? Yes, but also no.
Yeah, which I don't even know how you could say abortion is wrong from the Bible. But
Well, I mean, you could argue every life is precious, probably from the New Testament somewhere, and then, but also
Yeah.
like dash against rocks and shit.
yeah, and also like the only time the Bible actually does specifically mention something like an abortion, it's explaining how to do it. But as like this is in, I want to say it's in Numbers, where it's basically as a test to see if a pregnant woman has been faithful to her husband or if that baby's actually someone else's. Like they basically give her some cursed water because that's how things work. And if the baby dies, then that means she was cheating on her husband. But if the baby lives, then it's his. It's like,
What was this
First
cursed
of-
water?
okay,
Was it
yeah,
like downstream from the latrine or like what was
well, no,
it?
I think if I remember, they got dust from like the floor of the tabernacle or something, because that's the magic dust. But yeah, first of all, like never mind, like okay, even if you like take for granted that that's actually how shit fucking works, like that is so barbaric that we're like, okay, just to make sure like you were faithful to your husband, we might kill your baby. It's like what?
You know what? Dust from the floor of the temple would have had like a bunch of like camel feces dust and like all kinds of awfulness.
Mm-hmm.
So they're skipping over a lot of terrible when they're like, "Hey, give her like the fecal foot dust water," and and its baby survives, It's like, whoa, what happened to her? Like,
Right? All right. Well, we're still on question 1, so if we're
we're
trying
not.
to get through this,
All right.
Christianity does, like universal supernatural claims, universal religious experiences, free will,
So you're just gonna Gitch Gallop now? Come on.
yeah.
morality,
So
near-death
basically, what he's saying is Christianity is answering these. I don't know what the exact logical fallacy this is, but it's basically like,
Before the Bible
I mean,
tells
okay,
me so.
I mean, so like Norse mythology could say the same thing, that like, well, we have an account for thunder. Yeah, it's Thor. I mean, clearly, but really, what it is like it's humans have this thing we can't explain, so we invent a story to explain it, and then
Yeah.
later say, oh, that thing is proof of the story now. It's like
It's like creating an authority in order to have an appeal to authority.
right. It's like, no, all like, so that's not. So yeah, that is an account, as in you have a story about it. What I care about is, how can you show me that your story about this thing is actually true? That's really
Right.
what matters. Like, so to put this in scientific terms, like, okay, you have your hypothesis, now test it.
Oh, you know what happens then? Is they accuse you of not being authentic, or what word did you say at the beginning?
I don't remember. It was something like authentic. Yeah.
Genuine or whatever.
Yeah.
That's when I was getting like accused of not being genuinely interested. Because if you say that and they're like, well, you wouldn't believe me even if I told you, this is ridiculous. Like, it's like, no, try me. And then it's
Yeah.
like, if I'm wrong and you're right, I will change my mind.
Yeah. Or again, like, is this a case of an accusation being a confession? It's like, well, you, like, them saying,
Right.
well, you won't believe me. Is it because you also find it like not very believable?
Because that's what you're doing right now.
Yeah. Could be. Could be.
Could be. Could be. What else you got?
experiences, beauty, the rapid expansion of the early church, the events surrounding the life and death of Jesus of Nazareth,
Hold
and
on.
our shared long
This is just lots of bullshit.
The rapid expansion of the early church. Okay, the early church. Like, well, you know why? Like, it expanded because Rome decided, hey, let's make that our thing, and then that
But
kind
even,
of
but even
expanded by
before
default.
that, like when they're getting persecuted and shit.
Yeah, well, I mean, cult's gonna cult. What am I?
Well, I think
can I
it
say?
gave people hope, and there was like not much hope going
Mhm.
around if
Yeah.
you weren't Roman and wealthy.
Yeah, but I mean, okay, well then I could ask him now. Okay, how do you explain the rapid expansion of Islam?
Yeah. How do you explain the
Right.
collapse of Christianity if it does the big reel and be the bestest of
Mhm.
best?
Yeah, or how do you explain like the growth of just secularism or just the nuns, basically?
Yeah,
Yeah,
they're figuring shit out. Nuns are figuring
Mhm.
shit out because they're like,
Yeah, not
stories
those
are
nuns,
fun, but
yeah.
what's really happening?
right. Yeah, that's good.
What else is yet?
longing for purpose and meaning. So, what is it that Christianity doesn't answer as well as your worldview?
Well,
A
because I
lot.
think in his mind, answers well just means it's an answer that sounds good. Again, like what I'm looking for
Yeah.
is an answer that you can actually demonstrate is true. Because if that's the criteria, then like Christianity completely fails that. Because here's a question that I've put out there to Christians is, give me a significant claim of Christianity, and I mean like that means like something that is, if this is true, Christianity is true, and if it's not true, then Christianity is wrong. Like, not like the mundane things like, well, the Bible says that Egypt is a country, and that's true. Like, not like that, But give me a claim that Christianity makes that is a significant claim to the faith and that can be demonstrated to be true.
Yeah, shared stuff, shared facts, measurable things where you can both look at it and go, "Yep, that's 12 inches." Like whatever, you know what I
Mhm.
mean?
That's what she said.
I knew it was going there. The reason why I said 12 inches is because that was supposedly the pattern offset on the wallpaper I was putting up, but it's not.
No.
It's like more like 16 or 18 inches, which makes it a little fucking difficult to do a wall when you've got a 9-foot roll, which is really fucking short, and the ceilings are 8 feet tall, and you got to stagger it by that much from
Ooh.
like one strip to the next. But I
Mm.
figured it out.
Okay, but by what standard and what basis did you as an atheist have, because like you don't have any absolute measure, so what basis did you have to measure anything, Matt? Like it's, if you don't
But my
have
rule, but my ruler though.
but yeah, this whole like, so yeah, so I guess my way to answer this question is, it's like, first of all, it's I guess this really just boils down to the whole like, well, unless you have a better answer, you can't reject my answer. It's like, no, that's not how this works.
Yeah,
Like,
I had that same. It was a conversation with the MAGA person on the Facebookers. Um, somebody said something, and I was like, nope, prove it. And then somebody goes, well, prove it isn't. And I was like, that's not how that works. I said, that's not how the burden of proof works, bud.
yeah, wow.
It's like, if somebody's like, it was politics stuff. Like, no, it's
Yeah.
not happening. I had somebody tell me that, like, they don't think Trump is lying. They think he's being honest about what is really happening. And I was like, huh?
Yeah, it's like, yeah, that's
What?
yeah.
So
I
and all the lies you think that he's saying the big true.
yeah, like no, yeah, but I guess my answer, I guess for Braxton here is like I'm honestly like I'm still kind of constructing like my worldview and like what I
Yeah,
think
but-
of things. So yes,
But why
at
aren't
this
you
point-
finished, Tommy? You need a book.
but yeah, like my answer is like no, like my worldview does not completely account for everything like you think yours does, but
Well,
I feel like I've
or thinks it
figured
needs
out
to.
right.
Like-
There's that too, but I guess in my worldview, I guess I figured out enough to not accept the Christian worldview on things anymore, and now
Yeah.
I'm just working from there. So again, like no, I don't. It's like he's just assuming that the Christian worldview does actually account for all these things well, which to me and so many people, so many others, it doesn't. But he's just taking for granted that it does, and like, well, you got to do better than this. And it's like, no, not to reject your claim. I don't. It's like so the example I like to use when people try to use that principle of, well, you have to have a replacement before you like get rid of this or whatever. It's like if I like hire a babysitter like for my kids, and I find out like before he comes over that he's not allowed to live within a certain radius of schools, like I don't have to have another babysitter lined up before I kick this guy to the curb, you know?
Sorry, I was dealing with parental responsibilities.
Ah.
I heard you say and then I was like, oh shit, I really didn't. I really didn't hear any of that enough to know.
All right, so sorry. Well, I'm fine repeating because I think it's a fantastic analogy. So
good because I missed it.
So, to the idea of that you have to have something else established, like that you can replace whatever you're like getting
Yes.
rid of. like, and how that is so not always the case. So say like I got a babysitter for my kids lined up, but then I find out like before they come over that like, oh, this person isn't allowed to live within a certain radius of a school. I do not have to have a new babysitter lined up before I tell this person, fuck off.
Right.
You know? Or if I have like an appliance in my home that's like leaking like toxic fumes, like I don't have to buy a new one before I remove that one from my house. You know, so this whole idea is like, I get the idea that you can take this principle and make it universal is just bullshit. So,
Yeah. You know, it really is an appeal to authority fallacy, but if it's so commonly used, like it really feels like it needs to be its own like sub fallacy. It might be. There's so many fallacies with official names.
Right. Yeah. All right. Well, let's keep going. I went because.
All right,
looks
number
like he had,
2.
like, yeah.
Logo again. Ugh.
If your definition of atheism is merely that it's a lack of belief in God and you're just waiting to be convinced, but then you speak of him as though he's in some way synonymous with Santa Claus, the Easter Bunny, or fairies, doesn't that at least send the message to your listeners that you actually believe that there is no God?
No.
Yeah, and again, so this is the fallacy, and again, I don't know if this has a name, but it's something I noticed. It's like just because you're making like comparisons to doesn't mean you're saying it's the same thing.
Right, and you're gonna speak from, because metaphors. Well, we can't talk about metaphors because then we've got to start maybe seeing things in the Bible as metaphor, and that's a problem.
Right. Yeah.
Oh no, we're like whatever our experience of reality is, that's what we're going to speak from. And if in our understanding or our experience of reality currently is that like God is like functions like a Santa Claus to people,
Ooh.
then like we're gonna say that like it's true because that is our current reality. It's like he's trying to police people's perceptions or something.
Right. And this just occurred to me. It's basically it's almost like he's just assuming that his version of God is like the version. Because like someone can still believe that there is a God, but then compare the Christian God to like a Santa Claus or Easter Bunny or whatever.
Yeah.
So now, again, like I've said in my case, like yes, I am comfortable saying that I believe that God does not exist. That's just where I'm at. I understand like a lot, but I guess he started it with saying, well, if your version of atheism, which again, like, glad that he's at least recognizing that is a position that a lot of atheists take, where it really is just a lack of belief. A lot of apologists don't recognize that as atheism. So again, just to give him props for that, wherever I can. But I mean, but like I said, but even if that is their position, there are still a lot of atheists who will say, like, I'm not claiming that there are no gods, period, but they still will say, but I'm still pretty confident that this Christian God doesn't exist, because he just seems like completely like ridiculous and self-contradictory, and but so yeah, it's so frustrating. Like I said, he starts like just like with the last question where he's like, yeah, I realize atheism isn't a worldview, or in this question, like atheism could just be saying I just lack a belief. So it's like he starts off with framing it in certain ways that make it look like he's like approaching it like honestly and like benefit of doubt or whatever. But then the way he goes on to like finish the thought is like, it broke my brain. That's what it did.
He's trying to. Well, I think that's kind of on purpose, because he starts with that one direction and does a little like switcheroo, and then
Mm.
kind of goes into a slight gotcha, but instead of being a gotcha, it's more like basically trying to get your brain to follow a logical fallacy as if it was a reasonable point by switching in the
Mhm.
middle. Like,
Yeah.
because it gets you a little off balance mentally. So I think he's
Yeah.
kind
See,
of doing some like propaganda techniques. Maybe
yes,
not on
and
purpose, but
I wish we could actually get him on the show for him to like actually ask us these questions and like listen to our answers.
do you think he talks like this in real life? That would be intolerable.
I don't know, but yeah, because
Unless he's autistic, then I'd be like, I get it.
yep,
But if he's neurotypical and he talks like this, they're just the biggest NPCs to me.
right, yeah, man, yeah,
Because I don't understand so much.
yeah, yeah. Normal people are weird.
I do not get them.
Yeah, but yeah, but back to like this question. Well, I feel like go ahead and let him go on a little more. I just want to hear
Okay.
more of what he
Got
says
that out of
before I
our system.
respond more.
After all,
Yeah.
these are entities and beings that you likely believe do not exist. And if your response is that you merely lack a belief in Santa Claus and don't actively believe that he does not exist, doesn't that sound a little disingenuous, honestly?
Yeah,
What?
But well, it also depends like what he means by comparing God to Santa Claus or the Easter Bunny or whatever. It's like
Right.
in what way? Like so yeah, it's like all of these like questions like before I can answer require so many like follow up and clarifying questions on our end.
What? And
Just-
something can be. It doesn't have to be a black or white thing, like an all or nothing. Like something could be like Santa Claus in some ways, but not in others. And so,
Yeah.
like in certain
Yeah.
usages, it makes sense to do that. And other times, it wouldn't.
Yeah, I mean, like I could like in talking with someone, I could say, "Oh, you're kind of like," to pick like a fantasy example, be
Yeah.
like, "Oh, like something you just did there. That reminds me of like hobbits or something." It's like I'm not saying the person is a fucking hobbit. I'm just saying, like, hey, there's a similarity there. And
Well,
I'd
how
like,
can we
here's
have
an,
any kind of conversation with you about real things if you're just going to go around saying people are hobbits? like that's
right? Yeah,
what it's like.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And then you're like, do you not realize what your religion believes? Like you're claiming that we do that, and then like you're like, I
Yeah.
can't even have a conversation with you because
Yeah. So I guess I feel like this question, like I said, the way he framed it, it isn't necessarily for me. But I guess like
right.
would this describe you? Like, are you at that point where like to you it is your version of atheism like for you? Is it just a lack of belief, or do you have like a stronger belief in the absence of gods? Or
I have a hard time getting absolute with it because I think it depends on like what I've been thinking about a lot about like levels of perspective, and with limited perspectives, you're just aware of less.
mm-hmm.
So it does not seem that the God of the Bible is true. That does not appear to be the reality. Like there's plenty against that. Statements about God in the Bible can be pretty insightful about the way things are, like what it means to be human in the world.
Yeah.
But then, like, it's about a God that, like, we don't have any evidence of, doesn't look like it's there, and so, but then to say that there is nothing that's divine, my brain goes there, and I'm like, well, I don't know. And then if there's like a unitary kind of divineness, that would be like God, but it wouldn't be God of the Bible. But then certain things about God in the Bible would be true about that. And so, like,
Yeah.
in my head, it's all really connected. So when somebody says, "Do you believe in God?" I would be like, "Well, you're gonna have to tell me more." Like,
Yeah. And part of the reason like I'm kind of like confident saying like no, I believe there are no gods is like I'm going with like the definition that people have like seemed to have like for gods like throughout most of human history, basically being like a being or set of beings, you know, if you're like uh polytheistic, that's the word. Um that like have plans and wills and are personal and like interact with the world and stuff like because like to me when you get to like what you're saying about or like a lot of more like spiritual people talk about nowadays, well God to me isn't like a being but he's just like the ground of all being. Like to me it's like okay, well it's like I mean you can like keep redefining words but I'm thinking like the way most people use the word, like no, I don't believe any of that exists. But like if you want to talk about like some more like ethereal nebulous like source of everything that just kind of is and everything is, there was like okay maybe, but I mean I guess just for me like I wouldn't like I don't really see why you would want to call that a god. Like, you know, to me it almost seems like we need to come up with a different word for that.
like yeah, like you could just say the ground
Yeah.
of all being or whatever it is to you instead
Yeah.
of trying to fit it into a category. But
Yeah. So I mean, so if someone wants to call that God, I mean, I don't have a problem with that. But then when I say I don't believe in gods, well, how can you not think that there might be a
right,
God of all being? It's like, well, okay, I think that might be a thing, but I just don't call that God. You know. So yeah,
yeah, I don't know. That would just be called the everything.
right. I mean, it's probably me too. I mean, I believe in me, so yeah. There you go. Yeah. Well. All right, just to, like, I guess, are you wanting to try to get through this whole video tonight?
Ooh, I don't know about all of it.
Yeah, because to me, this like I'm not saying I don't want to go any farther with it, but this seems like
I detect a
we could
pattern.
make like I feel like we could just make an episode out of this video alone. But
Yeah, with what's left of it, even.
yeah. Well, so here's what you want to just kind of watch it now, like with like minimal stops, and then maybe like later we could come back to it and give like a full like deep dive on stuff.
All right.
All right, let's do it.
When atheism becomes a part of someone's worldview, they typically change their positions on other issues like abortion, sexual morality, and a number of other things. I actually have
changed
several
first,
videos
actually.
of well-known atheists saying that there's nothing wrong with prostitution, that they hope their children don't save themselves until marriage, and that sex workers should be put up on a pedestal no different than the military. I didn't use those
Well, listen, son. Every time there's been a major war right near the front lines, the rear guard has been the hookers. Sorry, that's a derogatory term. That's what they would have called them at the time. Like it would have been sex workers. Like the rear lines of any prolonged military operation. That's where the prostitutes have been. The
Mhm.
sex workers. It was a huge part
Oh,
of morale.
That would actually be a good name. Like if there was such a thing as like naming and like having like branding on brothels, like calling one rear guard, that would actually.
It could be a division of the military. I
Right?
mean, it basically used
Yeah.
to be.
Yeah, so I want to see where, like again, like I want to see where he's going with this because I have a feeling where he's going, and I have thoughts.
those here because I didn't want to seem combative to individuals,
Of course not.
specifically the individuals who made those statements. But even if you didn't become an atheist just so you could sin, and I believe you, do you at least understand why those moves could send that message to people who might say that to you?
Okay, but it's like, okay, like, do you ask these questions of like someone who like deconverts from like Islam or Judaism and then starts eating bacon? It's like, yeah, no shit. When someone leaves a religion, they stop living by that religion's rules. Like, how the fuck is this remarkable to you?
Because between A and B, Tommy, is sin. Like,
Like, yeah, you know what? Also, like when I left a
so
previous
wait,
job,
so does he believe that we didn't like change our minds on those things just because we wanted to sin? Doesn't sound like he really does.
yeah, he's like, okay, I believe you, but don't you see why other people might not? It's like, no, it's not. It's okay. Let's say, for instance, that, like, is that like, since leaving Christianity, like my lifestyle, like, really hasn't changed at all. Like, there's really no new habits or anything I've picked up. But let's just say that as soon as I deconverted, I just like started sleeping around. It's like, how does that in any way like diminish or discredit or whatever it seems like he's trying to do? Like my deconversion, it's like, okay, now I'm in a worldview that doesn't view these things as necessarily wrong, so I do them. Like,
it seems like he thought it was that we thought it was ridiculous for people to think that that's why we did it. No, we can understand how somebody would see it that way. But then when we present evidence to the contrary and they're like, no. Well, when they don't listen to us, we're like, no, that's literally not the order it happened in.
yeah. Or again, this in a way, like this also just occurred to me. This again, it sounds like an accusation is actually a confession thing. It's like, why would a Christian think that this is why we deconverted? Probably because apologists like you keep saying, oh, look out for this. Like, this is why people deconvert, just so they can sin. So anytime you see someone doing something that we call sin after they deconvert, that means that's why they did it. It's like,
well, that's
it's like, so to answer his question, like, yes, I can see how someone views like deconversion like that, because like fuckers like you keep poisoning the well to make them think that that's why they're doing it. So yes, I can see exactly why they would think that.
Well, isn't that also like the order that things happen for Christians? Like when you're trying to repress something that you see as sinful that isn't, and because it isn't, and it's like natural or automatic, it keeps happening and you blame yourself, and then you're like, man, if I didn't have these Bible morals, then like that would be all right, and like that then I wouldn't have to hate myself or be angry about it, and so like that's the order if you're already a Christian. But like when you go from Christian to not a Christian, it's not the same order.
Yeah, so here's a thought again, it just occurred to me, and I just want to throw this out there. I think maybe if we come back to this video, maybe flesh it out a little more. But like, again, this is one of those questions they never ask in the reverse. It's like if someone feels like they're struggling with something, or there's something they don't want to do, and then they see, oh, Christianity says this is bad and they can help me stop. So say the opposite. So say someone is sleeping around. It's like, oh, I kind of don't want to sleep around anymore. It's like, oh, Christianity says it's bad. I'll join Christianity and they'll help me stop. It's like,
that doesn't happen.
No, but I'm saying, but if it, no, that I think it does. I think I've heard
Really?
like testimonies of people who say like, well, before I came to Jesus, I was like sleeping
Right,
around
but
with all
did
kinds
they-
of women.
But is that why they did it?
Well, no, that's what I'm saying. Is like, because like, he's like, we don't ask those people, oh, you only became Christian because you wanted to stop sleeping around. That's like, just like the reverse of what he's
That's what they
saying.
want,
but
actually.
I think it shows like how ridiculous that is. It's like, yeah, there is nothing remarkable about when people are in a certain religion, they adhere to that religion's rules about social mores, and when they're not in that religion, they don't. It's like, yeah, no shit. Like, what's your fucking point?
It's like,
So,
you're asking if we noticed reality? Okay.
did you?
If it's a lack of belief sort of atheism, what is it? Is it 50-50, 60-40, 75-25? And at what point do you feel disingenuous saying that you merely lack a belief, as opposed to leaning towards, I believe that God does not exist.
What? Did you catch all that?
Yeah, but I'm like, oh, why is that a like? Why
At
does
what
he
point
care?
does it become disingenuous? Assuming it does by saying that. So I don't like how we have to accept your premise in order to answer the question.
Yeah, it's basically he's weaponizing ambiguity on a big question
Right.
because
Well,
I mean that is
remember
that is
sorry.
because that is an interesting question to ask, like just about like anything. Like, okay, at what point, like, if you could actually quantify your belief or lack of belief as far as like, percentages like 50-50, 70-30, it's like that is an interesting question. And like we would say, okay, well, at what point like would we say it goes from lack of belief to positive belief in the lack of or whatever? But like I said, that's an interesting question where I don't know if there is an answer, but it's almost like consciously or not, he's just kind of latching on to that ambiguity and like weaponizing. It's like, I can use this against you, and like it's like I don't fucking care, dude. I'm not convinced. I can't put numbers on it. All I know is it's not 100% that you're right.
It's like, I don't know. There was a tipping point where I realized I'm not convinced anymore, and I don't know. It's just like it's probably different for everybody. If there is a percentage.
Yeah, but that's it. Like people don't normally think of things like this in terms of percentages. Like I don't know if Braxton's married or not, but like if he is, like how like what percent sure are you that your wife loves you,
right?
Or that you love your wife? It's like
you must need an omniscient point of view to even be able to gauge that.
Yeah, it's like either like you're confident or you're not. It's like, I mean, you can be more confident or less confident, but it's like people don't put numbers on that stuff. Like, why?
Yeah. He's like, if you can't do this thing people don't normally do, then at what point are you being disingenuous? It's like, what?
Oh, fuck.
What? There's got to be a fallacy that's like the underpants prophet, like step 1, step 3,
Oh man. Well, let's keep trying to go through this because I feel like this is because I feel like this is a video I want to come back to at some point to go in more depth. So let's just try to. Yeah. God.
Now, I know we've all got our talking points, but I want you to struggle to be as sincere with yourself as you can.
Oh, fuck you.
Doesn't it bother you
struggle?
that when we come to talk about the origins of...
I do not have to struggle to be sincere with myself. And you know why? Or I guess you know when that became a lot easier for me to do? When I stopped being a fucking Christian.
But
maybe you should try it.
But it's pretty telling that he just thinks this is something people struggle with, right? Like, I don't think he's being offensive on purpose. I don't think he has any awareness that this is offensive.
No.
So, in his mind, that's just what people do when they're being people. As they're like, I have a hard time being authentic. Wonder why
there's that struggle. Like, what is the authentic self? Is it like the Christ nature in me, or is it the sinful nature? It's like, and I have to struggle to believe and accept these things. Like, it's almost like, I mean, I hate to make like such like generalizations, but it almost seems like, in order to truly be a Christian, it's almost like it's essential to struggle to be authentic. That's kind of just built in.
Because and it's not that you're struggling with being authentic sometimes, it's that you're struggling to be someone you're not.
Right, because you're thinking well, this is supposed to be what's authentic, so that's where the struggle comes
Right. You gotta. Everybody's gotta be their picture of Jesus.
from. Yeah, let's
And-
keep going. 'Cause I definitely have like more to.
Yeah, me too. That would
What
be-
man? Just wait till we get back to you, young man. Let's
Let me at him.
grab me.
of the universe, and if there's a multiverse, the origin of that too. That the
Wait, I
only
feel like I
real
missed
options you've
something.
got besides God.
Hmm.
If there's a multiverse, the origin of that.
Not far.
Yeah.
Struggle to be as sincere with yourself as you can right now. Doesn't it bother you a little bit that when we come to talk about the origins of the universe, and if there's a multiverse, the origin of that too, that the only real options you've got besides God is a past infinite universe, which is impossible, or the universe coming to exist uncaused out of nothing, or something far less clear than even those? It seems that
No, it doesn't bother me because also like
Those aren't the only
okay,
options.
an infinite universe in the past being impossible, a citation fucking needed, dude.
Yeah.
Like
Because it doesn't make any sense. Doesn't mean it's impossible.
yeah, it's like so no that so does it bother me that I don't know the like probably like hardest question to answer? Like no, that doesn't bother me. Like
Yeah. I think
And-
if we're even aware that question exists, I'd say we're doing pretty well.
yeah, I mean, does it bother you that even though you think you have an answer, it's just made up by people who like came up with stuff before they even knew as little as we know about the universe now, who knew even less than we know now? Like, does that bother you that that's where your answer comes from?
I mean, like they didn't even know for
Like-
sure how babies were made. So like
Right.
we're like,
Like-
but they had everything else figured out.
Oh, God. It's like no, it doesn't bother me that we don't have answers. Like, but that's what makes it exciting. It's like, oh, here's something we can try to figure out. Like that doesn't bother me. That like, especially like that's one of my favorite things that like Richard Dawkins says. He's like, scientists love saying we don't know. It gives us something to do.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, it's nice to learn new things. Find out what you thought was wrong.
yeah. So again, like this is a confession on his end of just how uncomfortable people on his side are with not knowing
there you-
stuff.
Yeah.
So I mean, just because you would find it uncomfortable to not have an answer doesn't mean that we do. So
Let's see
Yeah.
what else he's got. I'm getting a little
Yeah.
irritated. His damn logo's in between every fucking question.
yeah, I know. It's like padding.
Branding.
that for any worldview that includes atheism, there's a massive blind spot when it comes to the origin of the universe. And all the attempts to
Yeah.
try and circumvent that problem seem desperate and at least far less likely than theism. My question isn't
Well, oh, they seem desperate to you. Well, guess how much of a fuck I don't give. How desperate it seems to you. God.
And didn't he do that thing he said he wasn't going to do? He confused atheism with like a naturalistic worldview.
Hmm.
He's like,
Mm.
atheism thinks, can answer the questions about
Yeah,
before
which-
the beginning. It's like we don't even know if that's a valid question. Like,
Yes, and this just shows like just how. And again, I hate to speak in generalities, but at least in his case, like this just shows how ignorant his religion makes him on so many things, and made me like when I was a part of it. I mean, I'm speaking from experience here. Yeah, so fucking sad.
yeah,
So, speaking of sad, let's let him keep going.
let's let him cook.
isn't just what do you typically say about this, because I'm well aware of the responses. My question is simply this. When you step away from the debate mode that it's so easy for us all to get into online, doesn't this issue destabilize you a little bit? It seems to fit really poorly with any worldview that includes atheism.
Okay, well, first of all, like, yes, it's destabilizing. it like speaking from my own experience, especially like for people who know my story, especially when I deconverted, it was right after recovering from stage 4 cancer, back when I was like rethinking everything. So yes, at that point in my life, it was incredibly fucking destabilizing.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean it's wrong. And
No,
that doesn't mean that I should abandon it.
but then it leads to like a new kind of stabilizing where you learn how to be okay with that being a potential reality.
Mm-hmm.
So you're stronger. And it brings every time you find something new that you weren't aware of that you're like, well, that's destabilizing, and then now you have to get comfortable
Yeah.
with it. Like
Yeah,
it kind of it for me it gives me like a deeper insight or like awareness that feels more. I would have called it spiritual before.
mm-hmm.
It's those kind of feelings, but it's not it's not. I feel like it's that same thing without the burden of the story.
Ooh. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. But this feels like another case of him basically making a confession. He's basically giving away like this is all that apologetics is really about, or you might even say just Christianity in general.
Mhm.
Like it's all about making you feel comfortable. It's like that's all of
Argumentum ad butthurtum.
right. But it's more just like well my faith like gives me answers that make me feel better. That means it's right. So to him, like it's like yeah, because like I mean, newsflash to anyone who's been alive for more than like 5 minutes, like there is a lot about reality that is very destabilizing. That's very uncomfortable. That is very unpleasant. So for
Yeah.
him to use that as almost like an attack is like, oh well, see, doesn't your worldview make you isn't like it unstabilizing? That means it's probably wrong, right? It's like no, that means it's fucking reality.
I feel like
Or
he was trying to trigger destabilization a little bit in some people with the way he was talking at the very end. There's just
Mm,
something about the emphasis he was putting on certain words where I was like, is he trying to talk people into feeling destabilized?
yeah, because then
Like,
he'll be there like, oh hey, I got some stability for you, brother.
like
Or, yeah,
I don't like this guy.
no,
A little off-putting. There's just something where my brain just automatically wouldn't go. He's a good guy. Like
right? Yeah. All
dogs are
right. Well,
probably wary of him. All
yeah,
right.
let's try to speed through the rest because this is something I
Okay.
definitely want to get back to
Of the
later.
arguments for God's existence, is there one that to you seems more interesting than the rest? Is there one that for you actually does weigh in favor of theism? Which one?
I mean,
I don't know.
like deism or
Yeah.
yeah, basically to me, like the only versions of God that would make sense given the reality that we have would be either a God or like I think polytheism would actually make more sense in that like that's why it seems like the world is not the result of like a single mind with a single plan, just particularly not that was like benevolent, but it's either like just like some sort of like polytheistic like pantheon of gods that like can't just can't get along with each other and can't get anything done beyond like just getting things started and like
That makes
trying
more
to
sense.
yeah
Polytheism might make more sense.
or just like a deism where like there was a god who like just like created things and then just fucked off and like gives
Yeah.
zero shits whether or not we think that they exist or care about what they want or whatever. So yeah, any of those, yeah.
Taoism I find really interesting because you could either take it in a spiritual direction or just a humanist direction. I mean,
Mm.
there's some polytheistic stuff when you get into more like the religion part of it, but just the original texts, like the Tao Te Ching,
Hmm.
talking about so the Tao could be translated as the way, and so just the way things go is seen as a kind of divineness, and so
Hmm.
there's a lot of acceptance of reality and acceptance of what's happening that comes with that. And so,
Hmm.
kind of like going with the flow. The flow would be God, or divine, or something.
Hmm.
Ineffable. Like, I
Ah.
think it was the first section in the Tao Te Ching where it says, I don't know, I can't remember exactly, but it says in a kind of a poetic way that, like, once you've spoken the word Tao, you've diminished its meaning. Like, once you've talked about the way, or the way things go, and you've tried to nail it down, you've diminished its meaning. It's like it's something that can be experienced in fullness, but not measured in fullness. If that makes any sense.
Maybe. I
So
feel like the more you try to explain it, the less sense it's going to make. So
yeah, you almost just have to like read it and
Yeah.
see if it makes any sense, connects. Because I'm not doing a good job with it. All right, next.
Most atheists I've met humbly admit that they don't think they can have absolute certainty about much of anything.
Because we're being
What they
honest.
want from the Christian is a demonstration that God exists or that Christianity is true. Well, when we offer the reasons to believe that we do have,
Ah.
those are typically deemed not good enough. So what sort of evidence, if any, would be enough to convince you? Do you know? And since it's often a conversation stopper, let's take experimental reproducibility off the table, since that's not even always necessary for science.
But what if-
any evidence? Any confirmable
Well,
evidence?
But why take experimental reproducibility off the table, though? Like, shouldn't that?
It would be enough to acknowledge that it's not always necessary. I don't think we have to take it off the table
Yeah.
to acknowledge it.
Yeah. But I guess to answer this question from like, what would convince me that a God exists? Like, honestly, I don't know.
I would know it if I saw it.
Yeah, but again, to borrow the answer from Matt Dillahunty, like but only because I've heard lots of answers, but I only use his because it's one I agree with, so it might as well be my answer, I guess.
Yeah.
Maybe I don't need to keep crediting him with it, but if there is a God who wants me to know that he exists and has the power to make me know that he or she or they or whatever exists, then they know what that is and they can do it at any time. So it really doesn't matter if I can answer this question on what would convince me. If there's a God who wants to convince me, they know what would convince me. So it's up to them to do it. It's not up to me to know beforehand what that thing would be. So
Yeah. I don't know if anything could convince me that something is the highest of the highest gods. I think if anything fails to be better, then
Yeah. But then again, going back to the whole, like, can you really be omniscient thing? It's like, well, I may not know that this being is the highest, but it's at least the highest that I've ever experienced. So maybe that's good enough. I don't know.
like,
But
what if we were to find out the God of the Bible is real, but not the highest God? And we talk to some aliens, and they're like, right, but also this. and then we're like, oh, also that.
yeah, or just like the oldest versions of like Deuteronomy, where it talks about like Yahweh basically getting Israel as his inheritance from the higher god El.
Yeah.
You know, because that's a thing. Look it up, kids.
Yeah, the Old Testament's
Anyway.
way more interesting when it's monolatrous, when you look at it through that lens.
Yeah, not monotheistic, monolatrous. Yeah, there's a difference. But anyway, oh, hey, look at that. We're like nearing the end ish.
Let's go.
To what extent did social and moral issues start you down the path toward your atheism?
Interesting.
That is to say, the typical Christian or religious views on sexuality, gender, rights, and acts and commands of God in the Old Testament. It seems that many deconversion stories online begin with, or at least include, LGBT issues, purity culture, or hell as instrumental in the deconversion process. It strikes me that what should matter most is the truth and not what we might prefer that the truth were. I honestly wonder how much those issues and ones like them motivate the deconversion rather than all this talk about evidence.
All this talk, fuck off.
But
Anyway.
it's like he's insinuating that there's nothing about any of those issues that contain any kind of evidence that this is wrong. It's like
Right.
it's like those are only tools, and like, well, I just don't like it. Like, no, there are plenty of things, like once you actually look into those issues, it makes it look like, oh, the Bible says that, or Christianity, whatever you want to say, like, says that like two men like being in love and getting married is wrong. But the more I actually look into it, it really doesn't seem like it is wrong. So it's not like, well, I want to accept this, so therefore I have to. It's like, no, like the more I looked into it, like the Bible just seems to be wrong about how wrong this is. You know?
Well, yeah, that, and it has we experience it as a much more complex issue. Those, difficult questions, he calls them moral things. I would just say different aspects of reality.
Yeah.
There's, yes, something bumped up against our ideology, and then usually what happens is people go looking in the Bible. They're like, all right, this feels like a much more nuanced thing that's happening. It's way more complex than I thought it was, at the very least. And then the Bible just has nothing to say about the complexity. And it's not the complexity of, I want this to happen, but the Bible says that. No, it's more like there doesn't seem to be anything inherently bad about it. There, like with homosexuality, just because that's the first thing they're still getting used to. There are good people who are gay and bad people who are gay, but not everybody who's gay is a bad person. Just coming across that reality, and you're like, oh, it's just like anything else. Like there's good doctors and bad doctors, and just
good straight people and bad straight people. Yeah,
right. And the Bible has nothing to say about that. And so then you realize how much else it really doesn't have very much to add to, and then it unravels from there.
Yeah, so again, like, just the fact that for him that this is even a question is very telling. You know? Or I guess at least telling to, like, how they're... Yeah. It seems very connected to the whole, like, well, you just deconverted because you wanted to sin kind of thing. It seems like kind of a sister question to that, I guess.
Which it seems they're both kind of based in he just can't relate, and so he's just basing it on his understanding. What else does he have?
Can you name the last 3 academic books you read by theists on the subject? How long ago did you read them? Or is most of your understanding of apologetics and atheism from non-scholarly internet sources, pop-level books, and, let's face it, YouTube videos? And be honest with yourself about this. Anyone can Google up a list of books and paste them in the comments section. But I want to know, are you getting the best from the other side?
Well, I read the Bible.
Yeah.
Are you saying that's not good enough?
But you haven't read enough of what people have said about the Bible. It's like, if you thought the Bible was good, man, have you heard what people say about the Bible?
It's like, does this guy realize what he's insinuating here? It's like, okay, explain to me why, in order for me to know that the all-powerful, all-loving God of the entire fucking universe exists, I have to read C.S. Lewis, or I have to read William Lane Craig. It's like, why?
I don't know, man. The Great Divorce from C.S. Lewis was kind of planted the seeds of deconstruction for me.
Ah. Ooh, no, there's something I'd like to hear more about sometime.
Well, I was just realizing that looking back on it, because there was something about it that I'll have to reread it, and maybe I'll remember more detail.
Ooh, that
But
could be a topic for another show. Yeah, I like that.
there was something about it where it just caused me to look at Christianity from a different perspective. I didn't realize there was a perspective that could be like that different and still be Christian. And then it was just all crumbles from there, I guess.
Nice.
It's like different perspectives.
Ooh, we can dig into more of that later. But yeah, okay. I think he's only got one more, so let's see what he's got.
You know, I think the simplest version to really simplify that question, I think he was just asking if we're dumb.
Now, remind me what the question was. I think it was so bad, my brain like.
Like, have you
Have
you read all the best stuff to say that?
Yeah, it's like.
It's like, are you
Well,
ignorant?
again, best according to who?
Him?
Because like some of the things I was reading, like on my way out, was stuff like Richard Rohr and David Bentley Hart, and
That's some great stuff.
it's like I don't know if he would agree that that's like the best that like Christianity has to offer or whatever, but it's like
No, he would. Not, Richard Rohr is anathema to them.
I was just thinking that word too right before you said it.
Wow, because I never use that word.
But it's a
Everything
good
is
word.
one, man.
Well, at least we are. Like, yeah, me and Matt are one. Everyone else catch up. Get on our level.
Makes me think I could have another beer. Those are both lower alcoholies.
Yeah, me too, actually. So,
Let's finish with a pretty common one. If you found out today to your satisfaction that Christianity were true, would you accept God's authority, repent of your sins, and trust Jesus as your king?
Wait, so if we found out God was real or what?
but basically, if we found out that Christianity was true, like, would we accept it?
Not necessarily.
Yeah, well, it also because like I like okay, yes, I would, especially I'm again, I don't know like this guy's views on like hell or whatever. I'm just gonna go ahead and assume he believes in hell, and if you're not a
Yeah.
Christian, you go to hell. So yes, I would be very interested in not going to hell. Now, whether or not God would consider that enough, like, 'cause, like obviously, if he's this God that he's trying to sell to me here, like he would know my heart, and he would know that if I chose to accept him, it wouldn't be out of like any sort of like genuine love or like wanting to submit to him. It would just be like, I just don't want to go to hell. So yeah, sure, you're cool. Suck all the god dick you want me to, or whatever it is. And it's like, but like, would that count? Like,
I think if it were true, and I knew it, like it was confirmed to be true, I think it would actually be kind of terrifying.
oh yeah.
Because-
First of all, my first question would be: this is the best solution you could come up with. But
Well, and we can never really know if we're going to hell or not. Like,
mhm.
so
Yeah, because also, I don't know if he realizes this or not, but basically implied in that question is it is not perfectly clear
yeah.
that Christianity is true.
So
Oh,
and the reason why I was just thinking about, like, okay, when I believed it wasn't that terrifying to me. And I think it's because, and I think it's because it wasn't based in tangible things. So switching it to being based in tangible, measurable, confirmable things, I think that really changes how we experience
yeah.
that.
yeah, it would.
Because when it was just assumed to be good news, what was happening next?
Yeah,
And now
Yeah,
we're
I
like,
mean-
God might, if it was like, God's real, it's unclear if he's the good guy.
Yeah, I mean, it's yeah, because like I said, to me at this point, like if the Christian God, and again, like from what little I know of like Braxton, it seems like your general like run of the mill evangelical. I don't know how quite like fundamentalist he is, but at least like your mainline American Christianity, like that God, it's like like my acceptance of him would be like just basically completely fear based. It's like,
Yeah,
from what I
the
know
American-
about you, I do not actually love you or like you or anything like that. But like I said, it really just comes down to, okay, but whatever it is I got to do to not, for basically whatever I got to do to keep you from torturing me for eternity, like, yeah, I'll do that. Sure.
Do you think the American Christian God is basically a deified Uncle Sam? He wants us.
Ooh.
That whole he wants you to join his army.
Against wokeness or whatever the fuck.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Man, I would hate to be awake. I'd rather be dreaming and not know what's really happening. It's like, are they really saying like everybody should be asleep? Like,
Well, honestly,
I'm thinking a little literally, but
yeah, I tend to shy away from that because then you have things like, well, if you're against the Patriot Act and you're not patriotic, it's like yeah.
it's like you realize they named it that so people would do that.
Yeah.
You fucking tool.
Yeah. No, but no, from where like the term woke like actually did originate from,
Mhm.
like, okay, that is actually what it means. But I guess to me, like I just kind of steer clear from that as like any sort of like actual
I know.
rhetorical device. But yeah, totally like what you're saying. Like, I mean, that is basically what they're saying is like, I don't want to realize what's going on. But
Right. So like I realize it's a metaphor, but if being metaphorically awake makes you one of the bad guys, then being metaphorically asleep makes you one of the good guys. Why?
yeah.
Metaphorically in the dark makes you one of the good guys.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think it does. I think it just makes it easier to think that you're the good guys.
Oh yeah, a lot easier. Yeah, I mean it's hard to have cognitive dissonance when you just don't think about stuff.
America's a fucking cartoon of its former self.
Yeah.
It's like the internet algorithms just tweaked everything to give everybody the America they wanted. We're finding out what that was.
Mhm.
A lot of us
Yep.
are like, we don't like how we wanted it to be. Let's change it.
Yeah.
And then everybody else is like, this fucking rules. I don't know what you're talking about.
Right. Well, for being an episode where we had no idea what to do, this we did a lot. So
Yeah, he makes me uncomfortable. I feel
yeah,
dirty.
so I look forward to digging into that more later. So I don't know if we want to do that next week or like save it for another. We're still trying to like line up some more guests, but
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, and also, I guess other programming note for similar reasons, like why I was like later to the show tonight. Like I said, my daughter, like she's playing lacrosse now, and she's just having a lot of games on Wednesdays. But tonight's game, it was like a combination of being like a farther away game and starting later than most of them do. But like from here on out, I should still be able to like make the show, but we may just like start later, like 8:30 instead of 8. But
So if we're not on at 8, that's what happened. We're coming on at 8:30.
Yeah. So yeah, because I'm just looking at like my calendar now. It's like basically until like the middle of May, like she just has like a bunch of games on Wednesday night. So maybe just like from now, like for a while, it'll starting next week, it'll just be 8:30.
That's fine with me.
Yeah,
Viewers,
until
8:30.
yep, both of you. I mean, but yeah. Well, any other parting thoughts for tonight?
Everything just keeps sucking in the same way, which is becoming pretty like, hey, it's gonna get worse in the same way. So there's a pattern now. So
Well, hey, I like predictability.
So watch fun shit on your streaming devices.
Yeah, especially if we count as fun shit, we try to be fun shit, but you know,
get into something sitcom-y, where it's like it's kind of real, but it's completely out of touch with things.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and if you're on the like more atheismo side of things, recommend the YouTube channel Sir Sick, SIC.
Oh yeah,
yeah. There's some good like just ridiculous fun, but also like from like the atheist point of view, kind of. He doesn't just like go after like Christians or like religious folks. He also goes after like conspiracy theorists and just whatever the fuck Mud Fossil University is. I don't even know how to classify that shit, but
I think everybody needs to be aware that what's his name, Roger, that Roger exists. Mud Fossil University is a real thing that he takes real seriously.
Yeah, and for
knowing that that's possible.
Yeah, but just like a taste of like what Mud Fossil University is, like basically he thinks like he'll look. It's basically like Pareidolia, the YouTube channel. It's like he'll find different like formations, whether it's in rock or like other earth formations. Like, oh, this looks like a body part, but it's like really big. Therefore, giants used to exist. Like, and this is their bone, or like in some cases, this is their penis, or this is their foot, or their kidney. It's like, or he'll see like, oh, you see how some of these rocks are kind of red? That's from their blood. Like, or it's just like some rocks are red, dude.
Or mountain ridges are giant. The spines, the fossilized spines of giants.
Yeah, but see, he points to it all with a. But see, he points to it with using a feather for some reason. I don't know the actual lore reason for that, if there is a lore reason. But anyway,
I'll bet it's so he can point at his screen without damaging it, because he doesn't put anything together. He's literally just recording himself talking to his computer screen.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So yeah. All that to say, look up Sir Sick, SIC, like friend of the channel, whether he knows it or not. But yeah, that's one of our favorites. But as far as like the fun things, but yeah.
But it's also like it is funny, but it's also a little bit of an exercise of coming to grips with just how like dark and absurd reality is. Finding the fun in that.
Yeah, what's some whiskey? But
and a little bit more than a touch of the tism.
Oh yeah, I would think so. Yeah, but anyway, so yeah. So I guess like starting next week, moving to 8:30 at least for a couple months.
Eastern Standard Time.
No, we're in daylight. Are we in daylight savings time now? Yeah.
Yeah, but
Eastern Daylight Time.
Eastern Standard Time is the. Is it Eastern Daylight? Does it change?
Yeah, we're now in Eastern Daylight Time. I think is.
I didn't know that was a thing.
Yeah, that's why like always like whenever I make the post on like the Facebook page saying like tonight on the Humanity, I always say 8 p.m. ET, just meaning Eastern Time. It's like yeah,
makes sense.
I try.
All right, the world's better. We fixed it.
Oh, good job, and you're welcome.
Yeah, everybody. Does that make us Jesus now? Worship me.
I mean, I don't see how it doesn't. So, I mean, we are white.
That's kind of the logic. It's like, well, unless anybody has a better idea,
right?
I'm Jesus.
Yeah. Yep. Unless you have another Jesus to replace me with, you must accept me as your Jesus. That's
Your
what
Jesus
Braxton
is
taught me.
dead. I don't know if he counts.
No, he doesn't count because he's fucking dead. I can count.
No,
One, two-
he's alive.
Yeah.
Really? Have you seen him? I haven't.
Well, I have. I'm looking at you. Haha. So,
All right, that was weird.
yep. Take us out.
May your things and stuff be forever with your people.
And see you next week at 8:30 Eastern, whatever the fuck time. Have a good week.
Bye.